And we handled that well. We made ventilators for nations all over the world. We did a great job. Probably never get credit for it. Look at the therapeutics, the Regeneron, all the different things, the vaccines, all the things we did. We did a great job, but we had to focus on that. But we had the best economy in the history of our country. We're blowing it away right now. Look at the stock market. It hit another all-time high today. That's 48 days out of the few days that I've served. 48 days have already hit record highs. And we have, maybe most importantly, the number, we have now, I was saying 17, it's over $18 trillion is being poured into our country. It's because of the election and because of tariffs. Without the tariffs, you wouldn't have probably 18 cents. It's because of the tariffs, because there are no tariffs if they build in our country. And they understand that. So we have medical companies coming over. We have the AI. We're dominating China in AI. Everybody said that's impossible. We're dominating. I'm letting these massive plants build their own electric generating plants. They're becoming utilities in addition to everything. Maybe they'll make more money with that. Who knows? But they're building their own electric because we have an old grid. You wouldn't be able to do that. And we're dominating China. We're dominating with AI, which seems to be the new big thing. That's the new internet. That's the new whatever. So we're very happy with the job we're doing. I'm very happy with the job they're doing. But when you tell me about attacking a political opponent, there's never been, and I'm a legitimate opponent. I watch my son. He's got the #1 best-selling book now. My son, Eric, is a wonderful kid. That guy spent so much time with subpoenas. He got more subpoenas than anybody in the history of our country. Think of it. And he's an innocent, good boy. He's a good kid. He's always been a good kid. All of my children are good. They went through hell. My children went through federal grand juries on a hoax. Think of it. You have Adam Schiff and Hillary Clinton and others make up a hoax and then wanting to so they know it's a hoax, and they go before the press, say Donald Trump Jr. will go to jail because of what he's done with Russia. I'll never forget, I get a call from my son Don, and he said, Dad, I'm being accused of something with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. He didn't know anything about. Think of it, how bad they are. They say he'll go to prison for the rest of his life. He knew nothing about it. On a hoax, the Russian hoax, Russia hoax, on a story that they made up. And they made it up in order to explain why Hillary Clinton lost an election that she lost by pretty good numbers. The second one, actually the second one was even better, but the third one, this one was too big to rig. It was just too big to rig. They would have rigged. They tried to rig it. But think of it. They want to send my children to jail, but they were after Don in particular. I'll never forget Adam Shifty Schiff, a total crooked guy, lying in Congress, making up a phone conversation that I have with you, totally made up. Then when he heard it was taped, he wanted to disappear. And Nancy Pelosi went crazy because they wanted to impeach me based on the conversation that was made up. When they heard the tape, everybody, I won it unanimously in the Republican Party. I got every single vote, something that never happens, and I beat it. But think of it, they want to put my son in jail for something that they made up. So they know they made it up. And they say he will serve the rest of his life in prison. These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's talk. Thank you very much. It's going to be Bill. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's great.
You are in Empire space. Identify yourself. There was no response. She tried again. This is Empire Patrol Vessel ESV Nightclaw. Respond or we will. The lights dimmed. All systems flickered for 3 seconds. Then everything came back. Sora stared at her screen. Sir, we lost all comms for 3 seconds. Not jammed. Just dead. Get a scout ship ready. Relic ordered. Track that thing. Find out where it went. 20 minutes later, Scout Ship Viper 1 launched. A small, fast ship with long-range sensors. It was piloted by Commander Jordan, one of the Empire's best. This is Viper 1, Jor-El said over comms. Beginning pursuit. I'm following the trail. What trail? Relic asked. Not an engine trail, Jor-El replied. But I don't know. There's something here. Some kind of magnetic shift in space. Like it bent the area as it moved. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then silence. Viper 1, report. Relic called. No answer. Viper 1, come in. Do you copy? Still no answer. Relic turned to Vrin. Location. Last signal came from grid F-19. After that, nothing. No signal. No crash alert. Nothing. Relic stood still. So the ship vanished. And now, our scout ship is gone too. Everyone on the bridge was quiet. No one wanted to speak. The silence felt heavy. Wrong. By the next day, Empire Command had been informed. High Admiral Kellen sat in the war room, reading the report with sharp eyes. A ship with no signature, moving faster than anything we've ever seen. Disable systems. Makes a ship vanish without a sound. He tapped the table. Is this a new weapon? No known species uses this kind of tech, said Intelligence Officer Mora. Even the humans never built anything like this. It could be something ancient, or something awakened. From where? Kellen asked. There are old records, Mora said, from before the Great Expansion. Some speak of deep space weapons left behind. Eye-controlled relics, designed to wake up only when provoked. Kellen narrowed his eyes. You think this is one of them? We don't know, Mora replied. But it doesn't act like a machine. It doesn't scan, doesn't send signals. It just watches. Kellen stood. I want more patrols. I want probes in that sector. And if we see that thing again, I want it tracked. And if needed, destroyed. Back on the Nightclaw, Relic stood near the window again. He looked into the stars. Empty, quiet, peaceful. But now, he didn't trust the quiet. He thought of Jor-El, gone without a trace. He thought of the ship, the way it moved. Not like anything alive. Not like a ship with a pilot. No, it moved like something that remembered being a ship. Something built for one purpose. To return. In a dark corner of the galaxy, in a dead system with no light, the ghost ship hovered. No crew, no lights, no sound. Inside, old code awakened. One word flashed across its system screen. Observation. Begin. The Empire sent more ships into Sector 7. They didn't want to admit it, but fear had spread. The missing scout ship, Viper 1, left no trace. No explosion. No signal. Nothing. Just silence. Now 5 Empire cruisers moved slowly across the empty space. Their weapons were armed. Their sensors scanned everything. But the space felt wrong. Too cold. Too quiet. Commander Tellera stood aboard the ESV Daggerfall, leading the patrol. She was known for her calm mind and sharp thinking. Her crew trusted her, but even she couldn't hide the chill she felt. Still no sign of the unknown ship, she asked. Sensor Officer Perrin shook his head. Nothing, Commander. No heat, no movement. Space is empty. Tellera narrowed her eyes. It was here. And it took one of ours. Keep scanning. We don't move until we know what happened. Aboard the ESV Lanceblade, another ship in the patrol group, strange things were already happening. Commander, a tech whispered, I'm seeing something. It's like a shadow moving in the distance, but our scanners say nothing is there. Commander Roan frowned. Show me. On the main screen, the stars shifted. A black shape moved between them. Very fast. Almost too fast to see. Focus the scan, Roan barked. The system flickered. Then, everything went black. Lights died. Screens turned off. For 12 seconds, the ship floated in total silence. Then everything came back. Report, Rome shouted. The text scrambled. Sir, we lost power, but we're online now. No damage. But the backup logs are gone. Roan froze. Gone. Yes, sir. Like someone erased them during the blackout. Then came the worst part. Commander, another officer said, voice low, we're receiving a distress call. It's from the Daggerfall. On the Daggerfall, alarm screamed. Telra was on the bridge, holding onto the edge of her chair. The ship shook violently. What's happening? She yelled. Perrin shouted back. Something is pulling us. Like gravity, but stronger. Where is it coming from? Perrin's hands flew across the console. I don't know. There's no mass nearby. But it's like something invisible is locking onto us. Then the stars on the screen shifted. A dark shape appeared, just for a second. Blacker than space, moving like smoke in water. Then it vanished, and the shaking stopped. Silence, just like before. The distress call reached Empire Command. High Admiral Kellen stood in the war room again. This isn't a ghost, he said. It's something real. It hides in plain sight. It watches. It chooses. Chooses what? Asked Mora, the intelligence officer. Targets, Kellen said. It chose the scout ship. Now it touched the Daggerfall. And I fear it's testing us. Mora nodded slowly. Sir, I've checked old deep space logs again. There are rumors. The Dark Fleet. Machines left behind after the First War of the Stars. Ships that think for themselves. Ships with no crew. They were said to awaken only when disturbed. Kellen clenched his fists. Are you saying this thing is one of those ships? We don't know, Mora said. But if it is, then we might be looking at the start of something worse. Back on the Daggerfall, Telra sat alone in her quarters. She reviewed the footage again. The shadow, the blackout, the power surge. And then she saw something new. She paused the footage and zoomed in. On the edge of the black shape was a symbol, a small red mark. Not Empire, not pirate, not alien. Something else. Something ancient. She stared at it for a long time. Then she whispered to herself, "What are you?" Meanwhile, in the dead system where the ghost ship slept, its core lit up once more. Words appeared across the inner screen. Observation. Phase 1 complete. Test. Successful. Empire response. Weak. Curious. Unprepared. Another line flashed next. Begin Phase 2. And the ship moved. Silently. Faster than light. Toward the heart of Empire space. The Empire fleet had seen many strange things in space, but never like this. After the blackout on the Daggerfall and the strange shadow near the Lanceblade, all patrol ships were called back to the nearest military outpost, Station Voronine. It was a giant fortress near the edge of Empire space, built to watch the dark sectors. Now, it was filled with fear. Commander Telra walked into the war room at Voronine. Her face was pale, her eyes heavy. She hadn't slept since the encounter. High Admiral Kellen was already there, standing by a giant screen. It showed the area where the ghost ship was last seen. "Commander," Kellen said without turning, "did you bring it?" Telra nodded and handed him a small data chip. "This has the image. The strange red symbol. I've never seen anything like it." Kellen placed the chip into the console. The screen zoomed in on a blurry frame, just a second from the Daggerfall's footage. The dark shape, the red mark. Mora, the intelligence officer, stared at it closely. Her voice was calm, but serious. "This symbol is not new," she said. "It matches old records. Very old. From before the Empire even existed." Kellen frowned. "Explain." Mora turned to him. "Over 2,000 years ago, there were rumors of machines built by an unknown race. They were not alive, but not dead. They were not piloted. They were self-aware, created for war, but but with one purpose: observe and judge. Judge what? Tellera asked. Civilizations, Moore answered. When a species grew too fast, became too aggressive, the machines would appear. Tellera whispered. And what would they do? Moore's eyes were cold. Erase them. Back in deep space, something was happening again. In Sector 4, near a quiet colony, the cargo freighter Halion was on its route to deliver supplies. It had no weapons, no escorts, just a small crew of traders. Captain Breen leaned back in his chair, sipping warm tea. Easy job, he said to his co-pilot. Nothing but open space. Then the lights flickered. The co-pilot looked up. That's strange. They checked the systems. Everything seemed fine. But the stars outside started to disappear, one by one, as if a giant shadow was passing in front of them. The ship's warning systems stayed silent. No alert, no enemy detected. But outside, something moved. The pilot reached for the comm. This is Halion freighter to Voronine. We are seeing static, then silence. The freighter vanished. At Voronine, an alarm sounded. Kellen rushed to the main control room. A tech officer looked shaken. Sir, he said, we lost contact with the freighter Halion. One moment it was there. The next, it was gone. No signal, no debris, nothing. Morris stared at the screen. Same pattern, she said. Sudden blackout. No trace. It's hunting now. Tellera clenched her jaw. We have to stop it before it reaches any major colonies. Kellen nodded. We'll set a trap. A few hours later, the Empire set up a decoy fleet in Sector 5. Dozens of empty ships, fake energy signals, a perfect bait. They hid real ships nearby, ready to strike. Commander Tellera led the trap mission. We must see it again, she told her team. We must understand how it moves, how it hides. They waited. For hours, nothing happened. Then, at exactly 3 o'clock galactic time, the stars around the fake fleet started to shift. It came again. Fast, silent, invisible at first. Then, visible only as a ripple in the void. It flew through the decoy ships, like smoke through glass. None of the traps worked. No missile locked on. No system detected it clearly. Tellera ordered, activate the energy net. The hidden ships fired a web of energy beams to catch the ghost ship. For a brief moment, it worked. The shadow shape flickered, caught in the light. Everyone on the command bridge saw it. A dark, sleek form, no windows, no engines, a strange glow underneath, like a heartbeat. And that red symbol, glowing like fire. Then, with a sharp pulse of energy, it vanished again. The trap failed. Tellera stared at the screen. It's learning. Later, Morris stood in front of Kellen and Tellera, holding a datapad. There's something worse, she said. We decoded a signal, coming from the ship. A message, Kellen asked. Mora nodded. It was short, but very clear. She read it aloud. We see your weapons. We see your fear. You are not chosen. You are not ready. Everyone in the room went quiet. Then the message ended with one final word. Begin cleansing. Tellera's voice shook. It's not just watching us anymore. Fear spread fast. After the ghost ship escaped the Empire's trap and sent its chilling message, every system on the edge of known space went into lockdown. Ships stopped moving. Colonies stopped sending signals. People whispered about the shadow in the stars. At Empire High Command, meetings were happening day and night. Everyone wanted answers, but no one had any. High Admiral Kellen stood in the main briefing hall, facing hundreds of officers, scientists, and leaders. He played the message again. We see your weapons. We see your fear. You were not chosen. You are not ready. Begin cleansing. Silence followed. Commander Tellera stepped forward. We now know the truth. This thing is not just a ship. It's a judgment system. It looks at species. It decides if they're worthy to continue. And if not, asked one officer. It destroys them, Telra said. A deep silence fell across the room. In a small mining colony on Moon Ravel 6, people were living normal lives. Kids played outside. Workers moved crates. Security drones hovered in the sky. Then the sky turned black. Not from a storm, not from night, but from something above the clouds, something massive. The colony's sensors picked up nothing. Not a sound, not a signal, just darkness. One child pointed up and said, "What is that?" Seconds later, all power in the colony shut off. Lights died. Engines stopped. Doors froze. The people looked up in terror as the shape moved across the sky. No fire came. No weapons dropped. But after it passed, people began to vanish. One by one. Quietly. Without pain. No trace. By morning, the colony was empty. Back at Voronine, reports came in. 4 colonies gone, Mora said. Her voice was tired, hollow. No attacks. Just silence. Just nothing. Telra slammed her fist on the table. We can't fight something we can't touch. We need a new plan. Mora nodded slowly. I might have one. Everyone turned to her. She explained. Thousands of years ago, a ship saw something similar near the edge of the galaxy. It wasn't part of the Empire back then. A human explorer ship, lost in deep space, but it left a record. An old Earth vessel called the Odyssey. Kellen frowned. Human ship? What does it have to do with this? It saw the same red symbol, Mora said. And it survived. Kellen gave the order. Find that ship's log. Find the Odyssey's trail. Telra nodded. I'll go myself. 2 days later, Telra's small scout ship Falcon Eye launched into deep space, following ancient human star maps. The route was dangerous. Uncharted areas, space storms, black holes. But she didn't care. She was chasing hope. Mora guided her from Voronine. According to the last signal, the Odyssey disappeared in the Grave Spiral, a dead zone where ships don't come back. Perfect place for secrets, Telra replied. As the Falcon Eye entered the dark spiral, all light faded. Stars vanished behind black dust. Her ship sensors blinked red. Radiation rising, Mora warned. Telra stared into the black. If the Odyssey made it through, so can we. Hours passed. Then, something appeared on the scanner. A shape. Huge, silent, old. A ship covered in dust and ice, floating slowly through the void. The words on its side still readable. USODYSSEY. Telra gasped. I found it. She moved closer. Her ship connected to the Odyssey's airlock. She grabbed her gear and entered. Inside, everything was quiet. Frozen in time. Human tech from long ago. Simple, clean, cold. She found the command deck and powered up the logs. One final message blinked on the screen. She played it. A tired human captain spoke. We found the Watchers. They looked at us, judged us. We did not fight. We did not run. We listened. We showed what we were. We told them of Earth, of war, of peace, of learning. They watched, and they left. We were spared. The message ended with one line. Do not hide your truth. Show them who you are. Telra sat in silence. She whispered, it's not about power. It's about honesty. Back at Voronine, Mora's voice came through the radio. Telra, we have a new problem. That thing. It's heading straight for the Empire's capital planet. Telra stood up. No more hiding. The ghost ship was moving fast. Too fast. All Empire sensors showed the same thing. The strange ship was heading directly toward Varnuk Prime, the heart of the Empire. Billions lived there. It was the Empire's most powerful planet, and it was unprotected. Every fleet had already pulled back. Ships were too scared to fight. Some captains even refused to move. At high command, fear had turned into silence. Admiral Kellen stood in the war room, staring at the blinking red dot on the screen. "It's going to reach Varnock in 72 hours, Mora said quietly. Kellen asked, "Do we have anything that can stop it?" Mora shook her head. "No, but maybe we have something that can speak to it." Meanwhile, Commander Tellera sat inside the frozen human ship, U.S. Odyssey, deep in the grave spiral. The cold air hurt her lungs, but she didn't care. She kept playing the old message from the human captain again and again. "We did not fight. We did not run. We showed them who we were." It made no sense to her. Why would an unknown force, strong enough to erase colonies, spare someone because they told the truth? She whispered. Then, something strange happened. The Odyssey's screens blinked once. Then again. Words appeared slowly on the old monitor. "You seek understanding." Tellera froze. Her hand moved toward her weapon, but she didn't pull it. She typed, "Who are you?" The screen replied, "We are the Keepers. We measure what must remain and what must end." Tellera felt a chill. Why the Empire? You hide your truth. You build weapons. You erase life for control. You are false. She took a breath. Then she typed, "Can we show you who we really are?" Back on Voronine, Mora received a sudden data burst from the Odyssey. It was old human video files, thousands of them. Peace talks, school footage, families laughing, war, recovery, art, music, failures, growth, moments of kindness. Tellera's voice came with it. The humans were judged, and they were spared because they didn't lie. They didn't pretend to be something they weren't. They showed everything, even the dark parts. And that was enough. Mora blinked. "Are you saying we must show the truth?" Tellera replied, "It's the only thing that worked." For the next 24 hours, the Empire did something no one expected. They opened their archives, footage of past wars, of pain they caused, of mistakes made by leaders, of fear, but also of unity, of people helping others, of moments when even the Empire tried to change. Billions of messages were packed into one giant broadcast. They called it The Truth of Us, and they sent it straight to the unknown ship. The ghost ship arrived near Varnock Prime. It stopped just outside orbit. No weapons came. No lights turned on. Just silence. Every eye in the galaxy was watching. Then, without warning, a signal came through. It was simple. A voice, not human, not machine. Something in between. "We have seen your truth." Everyone held their breath. "We will wait." The ship began to move, not toward the capital, but away, back into deep space. Kellen couldn't believe it. It worked. Tellera's voice came through the command channel. They weren't looking for power. They were looking for honesty. More added, for something real, something worth saving. In the days that followed, the Empire changed, not because they were forced to, but because they had faced something impossible and lived. They didn't win with weapons. They won with truth. And far away, in the shadows of the stars, the ghost ship vanished. But everyone knew it was still watching, waiting. After the ghost ship turned away from Varnock Prime, the Empire began to breathe again. But the fear didn't disappear. The Keepers were still out there, watching, waiting, and no one knew when they might return. High Command told the people it was over, that the danger had passed. But behind closed doors, the leaders were still afraid. They started secret programs, built faster ships, stronger weapons, hired more spies. Because no one trusted peace. Not yet. Far out near the edge of the Crimson Line, a lonely Empire listening post picked up a strange signal. It wasn't the ghost ship. It was something else. The transmission came in short bursts. Old language, broken symbols, But one word stood out: human. Commander Eric's frowned as he replayed the message. This can't be right. Humans are gone. Extinct for 100 years. His technician looked worried. Sir, it came from inside the dead sector. That region was forbidden. Ships that entered never returned. Even the keepers avoided it. So why was someone broadcasting from there? And why say human? Hours later, the signal reached Admiral Kellen and Mora. They listened in silence. It's a trap, Mora said at first. Has to be. Kellen didn't answer right away. Then he said, or maybe not. Maybe someone survived. Someone human. But why call now? Mora asked. Because the keepers came, Kellen said. And now, someone wants to talk. High Command didn't want to act. Too risky. But Telra did. She had been inside the U.S. Odyssey. She had spoken to the keepers, and now she was willing to go into the dead sector. Alone. If it's a trap, she said, then I'll disappear. But if it's not, if someone is alive in there, we need to know. Her small ship, Echo 1, entered the dead sector slowly. Everything outside the windows looked dead. No stars, no color, just black space with floating wrecks, broken moons, dust clouds. It felt like space had stopped breathing. Telra followed the signal. Then suddenly, a light. A ship came into view. Not large, old, rusty, human design, but not a model anyone knew. She activated comms. Unknown ship, this is Commander Telra of the Empire. Identify yourself. Static. Then a voice. Weak, but clear. Finally, someone answers. We thought we were the last. Inside the strange ship, Telra met the crew. They looked human, but older. Worn. Tired eyes. Strange tattoos. Their ship was falling apart. The leader, a man named Captain Rylan, explained everything. Our ancestors were part of the last human colony ship. We escaped the wars. We hid in this sector. We've been waiting, surviving, hoping Earth would rise again. Telra was stunned. You survived here. All this time. Rylan nodded. We had to. The keepers didn't come here. They left us alone. Telra asked the most important question. Why come out now? Rylan looked at her and said, because we saw the ghost ship. We saw what it did. We thought, maybe humanity still has a chance. Back in Empire space, when Telra's report came through, it caused a storm. Humans survived. Are they dangerous? Should we wipe them out now before they grow? But Kellen said no. We judged them before, and we were wrong. Mora added, let's not make the same mistake again. Soon, the Empire sent a peace team to the dead sector. Talks began. Plans formed. And for the first time in 100 years, humans and the Empire sat across from each other, not as enemies, but as survivors of a galaxy watched by shadows. And deep in the black sky, the ghost ship moved again. Telra stood on the bridge of the Empire's flagship, staring at the stars. Behind her, Admiral Kellen and Mora looked over the last message sent by the humans from the dead sector. It was not just a signal. It was a warning. The ghost ship had returned, but this time, it wasn't alone. The human survivors had known about the Keepers long before the Empire did. Their ancestors had once fought something similar, long ago, during Earth's final space war. But this new threat was different. The Keepers were not just machines or aliens. They were watchers, ancient artificial beings that saw humans as a mistake. And they had only allowed the galaxy to grow under one condition: no more humans. Captain Rylan had revealed everything. The ghost ship is not just a weapon. It's a messenger, a test. Every empire it visits is being judged. If it finds signs of old humanity, our tech, our DNA, our spirit, it triggers something. That's why it scanned your fleets. That's why one scout disappeared. It was warning you. Mora asked him, warning us of what? Rylan looked at her, deadly serious. That the real force behind the Keepers is waking up. A new signal was received, far deeper in space than anyone had reached before. Not just one ship now. Hundreds, thousands, moving like shadows across galaxies. Their destination, Empire space, and they weren't hiding anymore. Panic spread. The Empire's fleets were strong, but even they couldn't stop ships that moved like ghosts, that ignored scanners, that shut down systems without a shot. Admiral Kellen held emergency meetings. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to fight. But Telra, Mora, and Rylan had a different plan. One last hope. In secret, the humans had kept one final weapon. Not a bomb. Not a ship. But a code. A message passed down for generations. It was human-made. From Earth. Encrypted in a language only the old world knew. They believed it was created by the last true leaders of Earth. A final order. A signal to awaken something buried deep in the stars. They called it Project Revenant. No one knew what it would do. But Rylan believed it might turn the tide. With Empire support, Telra and Mora joined the humans in launching the code from a deep space array. The moment the signal was sent, everything stopped. The Ghost Fleet paused in place, like statues in the sky. For 5 long minutes, the entire galaxy held its breath. And then, something answered. From a part of the universe no one had mapped before, came a light. Bright, growing, and fast. It wasn't a ship. It was something more. It moved faster than anything known. It passed through planets, stars, even the Keeper's fleet, and everywhere it went, the Keepers shut down. One by one. Like candles blown out by the wind. When it was over, the sky was quiet again. No more ghost ships. No more shadow fleets. Just silence and peace. For now, Admiral Kellen gave a speech that was broadcast across the stars. Today, we learned the truth. That the ghosts in the dark were not gods. Not unbeatable. And humanity, thought lost, is still the key to this galaxy's future. Let this be a new beginning. For all of us. Rylan and his people were offered a new home. Not as refugees, but as allies. The Empire would protect them and learn from them. And Telra, she became the bridge between two worlds. The one who first saw the ghost and lived to tell the story. And somewhere out there, far beyond the stars, Project Revenant waited. Not as a weapon, but as a promise. If the darkness ever came back, so would the light. Dr. Kvix adjusted his atmospheric processor with trembling appendages as he prepared to address the Galactic Council. Behind him, the massive holographic display flickered with carefully curated images of Earth, each one selected over months of meticulous observation. The council chambers stretched above him, its crystalline architecture housing representatives. Dr. Kvix, do you have evidence of how humans might react to distress situations? The galaxy can be dangerous for emerging civilizations. Indeed, Kvix projected new data streams. Our models suggest that humans would either ignore distress calls from non-human species or attempt to exploit such situations for personal gain. Their entertainment media frequently depicts scenarios of conflict with alien species, suggesting deep-seated xenophobic tendencies. Zeri's sensory tentacles coiled in distress. She had watched thousands of human entertainment narratives during her research. Yes, some depicted conflict, but far more showed hopes of peaceful contact, dreams of galactic cooperation, and scenarios where humans sacrificed everything to help alien species. The council chambers erupted in discussion. Kvix stood proudly, his reputation as the galaxy's leading xenanthropologist secure. His warning about humanity would be remembered for generations. As the session concluded, Zeri slipped away from the observation ring, clutching her personal data core. Inside it were thousands of recordings that told a different story. Humans delivering supplies to elderly neighbors, emergency services working tirelessly during disasters, global relief efforts coordinating to help regions in crisis. But who would believe a junior researcher over the renowned Dr. Fix? Little did any of them know, events were already in motion that would prove just how wrong they were about humanity's true nature. Senior Medical Officer Lyra pressed her upper appendages against the cold surface of the medical transport's control panel, all four of her eyes fixed on the rapidly declining quantum core readings. The Meraxian vessel Healing Light shuddered around her, its usually pristine white corridors now bathed in the crimson glow of emergency lighting. Core stability at 28% and falling, announced First Engineer Tex, his scale-lined throat pulsing with stress. The containment field is barely holding. Lyra's secondary heart began beating faster, joining the rhythm of her primary one. In the cargo hold behind them, 40,000 doses of Centurion fever antidote were slowly warming above their crucial storage temperature. The colony on New Proxima had reported over 3,000 cases already, and without this medicine. "What about the Sktheri research station?" she asked, her translator struggling to maintain clarity through her rising anxiety. "They're only 2 light hours away." Communications Officer Pell swiveled in her suspension chair, her bioluminescent spots glowing a worried amber. "They're responding." But she hesitated, her tendrils curling inward. "They're advising us to avoid the nearby human space at all costs. They say humans are likely to either ignore our distress call or attempt to salvage our ship for parts." Another violent shudder ran through the ship, the lights flickered, and for a moment, the artificial gravity wavered. "Core stability at 22%, Tex reported grimly. "We have maybe 30 minutes before total failure." Lyra's tertiary brain ran the calculations while her primary and secondary brains weighed the options. The Sktheri were the galaxy's foremost experts on emerging civilizations. Their warning about humans had been broadcast across all major channels, but the nearest non-human assistance was 5 hours away at best. "Officer Pell." Lyra straightened her posture, a decision crystallizing across all 3 of her brain centers. "Broadcast an emergency signal on all frequencies, including human channels." Medical Officer Lyra. Held spots shifted to a deep purple of concern. "The Sktheri reports clearly state, the reports won't matter if we're dead, and thousands of colonists die from Centurion fever." Lyra cut in, surprising herself with her firmness. "Send the signal." The next 3 minutes felt like an eternity. The core continued its descent toward critical failure, and Lyra found herself wondering if the Sktheri had been right. Perhaps humans would simply. Multiple contacts. Pell's spots flashed bright yellow in surprise. 3 vessels just dropped out of FTL travel. They're human ships. The main screen activated, showing 3 vessels of varying sizes. Their designs were unlike anything in the galactic registry. Less elegant than Meraxian ships, more functional than aesthetic, with sharp angles and exposed hardware that would make any Centaurian architect faint. "This is Captain Chen of the Earth Medical Transport, Hope's Horizon." A voice came through in perfect galactic common. "We've detected your quantum core destabilization. We have experience with similar systems and are ready to assist. Please share your shield frequencies." Before Lyra could respond, 2 more messages arrived. "Mining vessel Deep Rock Pioneer here. We've got spare quantum stabilizers if you need them. Research ship Curiosity's Child standing by. We have power cells charged and ready for emergency transfer." Lyra's 3 brains struggled to process this response. Not only had humans answered their call, but 3 separate vessels had diverted their courses to help, and none of them had mentioned payment or salvage rights. "Medical Officer," Tex called out, his scales now a pale shade of worry. "Core at 17%. We need to decide now." Lyra took one last look at the Sktheri warning flashing on her secondary screen. Then she reached out and opened a channel to the human vessels. This is Senior Medical Officer Lyra of the Meraxian Transport Healing Light. We gratefully accept your assistance. We're also carrying urgent medical supplies that need to reach New Proxima within 40 standard hours. Understood, Healing Light. Captain Chen responded without hesitation. Let's get you fixed up and back on your way. Those people need their medicine. As the human ships moved into position around them, Lyra couldn't help but wonder what else the Scathuri might have gotten wrong about humanity. Captain Sarah Chen kept her voice steady as she coordinated with the other human vessels, but her mind was racing through contingency plans. The Meraxian ship's quantum core readings were worse than she'd initially thought. On her command deck's main screen, the healing light hung against the star-studded backdrop, its elegant white hull designed for beauty, rather than the practical redundancies human ships favored. Engineering team ready for transfer. Her chief engineer, Raj Patel, reported through the ship's comm. He'd already suited up with his team, their modified EVA suits adapted for working with alien technology. But Captain, these readings, we've never dealt with a Meraxian quantum core before. No time like the present to learn, Sarah replied, managing a small smile despite the tension. The mining vessel's stabilizers will buy us time to figure it out. The Deep Rock Pioneer had already moved into position, its sturdy frame dwarfing both medical ships. Its captain, a gruff woman named Mackenzie, kept a running commentary as her crew prepared the emergency stabilizers. These babies have saved our hides in the Kuiper Belt more times than I can count, Mackenzie transmitted. They're not pretty, but they work. On the research vessel, Curiosity's Child, Dr. Amanda Torres had been rapidly comparing the Meraxian core specifications with known quantum technologies. Captain Chen, we've analyzed their containment field. It's similar to the Centaurian design we studied last year. We're sending you the modification protocols now. Sarah watched as her crew coordinated with the other ships without missing a beat. No one had even questioned diverting from their original courses. The Hope's Horizon was supposed to be heading home after a 3-month relief mission to the Pleiades colonies. The crew had been talking about the upcoming solar festival for weeks. Engineering team. Transferring now, Raj reported. The airlock camera showed him and his team crossing to the Meraxian vessel, carrying tools and equipment that hadn't existed 6 months ago. Human engineers had a habit of modifying everything they touched, much to the confusion of other species. Senior Medical Officer Lyra's voice came through, her translator conveying a mix of hope and anxiety. The core is at 14%. The medical supplies, the stasis field is weakening. Understood, Sarah responded. She opened a channel to all 3 human ships. Listen up, everyone. Those supplies are needed at New Proxima within 40 hours. Failure isn't an option. The next 20 minutes were a blur of activity. Mackenzie's crew installed the quantum stabilizers while Raj's team, guided by Dr. Torres's analysis, worked to modify the containment field. The Meraxians watched in fascination as the humans improvised solutions that would make any standard engineer faint. Core stabilizing, TEX, the Meraxian engineer announced with obvious relief. Up to 32%, 40%. The stabilizers will hold, Mackenzie assured them. But you'll need a proper dock for full repairs. Sarah had already been calculating travel times and distances. The Hope's Horizon was the fastest of the 3 human ships, equipped with the latest drive systems for emergency medical response. She opened a channel to Lyra. Medical officer, our ship can reach New Proxima in 36 hours. We should transfer the supplies and... Captain, her first officer, David Kim, interrupted quietly. The crew's families, the solar festival. Sarah glanced at the crew on her bridge. They'd already missed 3 holidays this year. The solar festival was the biggest celebration back home, and they'd been promised time off. But as she met their eyes one by one, she saw the same determination she felt. The crew of the Healing Light did everything right. She transmitted to all channels. They maintained their course as long as possible, trying to complete their mission. We're not letting them down now. She paused, then added, any crew who wished to transfer to the other vessels for faster return to Earth. Not a chance, Captain, her helmsman called out, followed by similar responses across the ship. Well then, Sarah allowed herself a genuine smile. Medical Officer Lyra, let's get those supplies transferred. My crew will show yours our cargo systems. They're not as elegant as yours, but they're fast. The Maraxian officer's translator took a moment to process before responding. Captain Chin, the Scatheri reports never mention this aspect of humanity. Why would you delay your celebration to help strangers? Sarah thought about the colony she'd visited, the faces of people who needed help, alien or human. Because someday we might be the ones sending out a distress call. And even if we're not, helping is what humans do. The Grand Nexus station hung in space like a luminous snowflake, its crystalline spires catching light from 3 different suns. In the station's bustling trade district, beings from 100 different species gathered at the famous Starfall Cafe, where stories spread faster than light itself. Today, the usual hum of conversation had taken on a different tone. At a corner table, Captain Lyra of the Healing Light sat surrounded by an eager audience, her 4 eyes brightened as she recounted her experience with the human ships. They didn't even discuss payment, she explained, her translator crystal pulsing with earnest energy. The mining vessel used their own quantum stabilizers, expensive equipment, and when I tried to arrange compensation, their captain just laughed and said, pass it on. A Centaurian trader's crystal matrix flickered with skepticism. But the Scatheri reports. Look, interrupted a gruff voice. A Rigelian cargo pilot leaned forward, their armored exoskeleton gleaming under the cafe's ambient lighting. Last week, my ship hit an unexpected debris field near the Horsehead Nebula. Cracked our main drive housing. Know who stopped to help? Human mining ship. They didn't just repair it. They reinforced it better than new. Wouldn't take payment either. Similar stories began emerging around the cafe. A Pleiadian scientist described how Earth universities had freely shared breakthrough research on gravity wave manipulation. An Aldebaranian medical coordinator spoke of human doctors volunteering during a crisis on their colony worlds. Near the cafe's observation window, Station Director Venix watched the growing crowd with all 3 of their sensory clusters fully extended. As the station's administrator, they had accessed the official Scatheri reports on humanity dozens of times. Yet the evidence mounting in their database told a different story. Their assistant, Min Sho, a human liaison officer recently assigned to the station, approached with the daily reports. Director, you might want to see this. The data crystal displayed a curious trend. Human vessels were consistently deviating from their registered flight paths, burning extra fuel and time to pass near common trade routes and colony worlds. The pattern made no sense until Min Sho explained. They're conducting wellness checks, she said, smiling at the director's confusion. After that incident with the Maraxian medical transport, a lot of our captains started taking alternate routes just to make sure everyone in their sector was okay. That seems inefficient, Venix observed, their middle sensory cluster pulsing with confusion. Maybe. Min Sho shrugged. But last week, the Star Wanderer found a Danubian scout ship with a failing life support system because of these inefficient routes. No distress signal. Their communications were down. The crew would have died if the humans hadn't checked on them. In another corner of the cafe, a young Andromedian researcher was showing footage from Earth's historical archives on their portable projector. The images contradicted everything in the Scatheri reports. Humans forming vast networks to help strangers during natural disasters, creating organizations dedicated to helping other humans and animals alike, risking their lives to save others without hesitation. Their entire culture has countless examples of this behavior, the researcher explained excitedly. They have ancient stories, myths, and legends all centered around helping others. They even have a human phrase for it, paying it forward. Director Venix watched as the stories continued to spread throughout the station. Their security feeds showed similar discussions happening in the diplomatic sector, the merchant quarters, and even the usually stoic engineering division. The galaxy was beginning to see a very different picture of humanity than the one painted by the Stheri. As if to punctuate this shift, a new alert appeared in their feed. A human vessel, the Stellar Guardian, had just requested emergency docking. Their cargo hold was full of medical supplies, and they'd picked up fragments of a transmission about a possible epidemic in the Outer Rim colonies. They hadn't received an official distress call. They simply heard there might be trouble and came to help. Venix approved the docking request immediately. Perhaps, they reflected, the true danger of humanity wasn't their independence or unpredictability. Perhaps the real shock was how their simple acts of kindness could reshape the very foundations of galactic society. The warning came from a small human research station on the edge of the Carina Nebula. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been monitoring stellar activity when her instruments detected something that made her blood run cold. The nearby star, HD 93129A, was about to release a massive coronal mass ejection. This is Dr. Rodriguez of Earth Science Station, Stellar Watch broadcasting on all emergency frequencies. She transmitted, her voice steady despite her racing heart. We're detecting an imminent Class X solar event. 3 habitation rings are in the projected path. Estimated time to impact: 4 hours. In the Galactic Council's Emergency Response Center, the alert triggered immediate chaos. The habitation rings house over 2 million beings from dozens of species. Chief Administrator Mextel's crystalline form pulsed with rapid color changes as they processed the incoming data. Evacuation protocols suggest we need at least 6 hours to safely transfer the populations, a Pleiadian coordinator announced, their bioluminescent patterns showing clear distress. The Stheri research vessel Truth Seeker is nearest to the area, another coordinator reported. They're requesting that we follow standard procedures and wait for proper authorization before. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Hope's Horizon. A new voice cut through the chamber. The same human captain who had helped the Meraxian transport weeks ago. We're already en route with our experimental shield technology. 7 other human vessels are converging on the location. Mixtel's color patterns shifted to show confusion. Captain Chen, the Council hasn't authorized. With respect, Administrator, Sarah interrupted. We can discuss authorization after we save those people. In the first habitation ring, Curator Lurin watched in mounting terror as the emergency alerts flashed across their screens. The ring's shield systems were never designed to handle a stellar event of this magnitude. Around them, the ring's 30,000 residents were beginning to panic. Then the first human ship arrived. The Hope's Horizon looked tiny against the massive habitation ring, but it moved with purpose. 6 more human vessels emerged from FTL travel within minutes, each taking strategic positions around the rings. This is Captain Chen to all rings. Sarah's voice came through on all channels. We're deploying experimental shield harmonics. Our ships will create a protective barrier while you evacuate. Please begin moving residents to your central hubs. That's impossible. Dr. Fix's voice cut in from the Truth Seeker. Your ship shields cannot withstand. Already done it once, Sarah replied. Titan Colony, Sol System. We lost 3 ships but saved 16,000 people. The shield modifications came from that experience. Aboard the Hope's Horizon, Sarah turned to her crew. This is volunteer only. What we're about to do, the shields will hold, but our ships are going to take one hell of a beating. We're staying. Her first officer, David Kim, spoke for the entire bridge crew. Similar responses came from the other human vessels. The solar storm hit like a celestial hammer. The human ship's shields blazed brilliant blue, creating a protective web around the habitation rings. Inside the barrier, evacuation ships darted back and forth, transferring residents to safety. On the Galactic Council's emergency channel, the human captains maintained a steady stream of communication, adjusting shield harmonics and power distribution on the fly. Their ships groaned under the stellar onslaught, but they held position. Ring 1 cleared. Ring 2 at 60% evacuation. Shield power at 40%, rerouting from non-essential systems. Hull temperature climbing, but we're not moving. In the council chamber, Maxtall watched in amazement as the humans coordinated their efforts without any central authority, each ship adapting independently while working in perfect concert with the others. Hours later, when the storm finally passed, the human ships were scorched and damaged, their hulls bearing the scars of their stand against the star itself. But the habitation rings were intact, and not a single life was lost. As repair crews swarmed the damaged vessels, Captain Chen received a priority message from Earth. She expected a reprimand for acting without authorization. Instead, she found a list of every human ship in the sector, all volunteering to help with the recovery efforts. "Send them our coordinates," she told her communications officer, a tired smile crossing her face. "Looks like we've got more work to do." Junior researcher Zuri sat in her private quarters aboard the Truth Seeker, her sensory tendrils coiled tightly against her body as she reviewed the footage for the 100th time. The human ship's defense of the habitation rings played on one screen while her original research data filled 3 others. Her third heart began its stress rhythm as she overlaid the timestamps. During the exact period when Dr. Kvix claimed humans were exhibiting dangerous individualistic behavior, her observations showed something entirely different. She had recorded thousands of instances of humans helping each other, emergency services rushing into danger, global relief efforts, stranger helping stranger. A soft chime announced an incoming transmission. Zeri quickly minimized her screens, but relaxed when she saw it was from Lyra, the Miraxian medical officer she befriended after the quantum core incident. "Have you seen the latest from the habitation rings?" Lyra asked without preamble, her 4 eyes bright with excitement. "The humans didn't just save everyone. They're staying to help with repairs. They're treating it like some kind of community project. They're calling it a space barn raising, whatever that means." Zeri's tendrils unknotted slightly. "Lyra, I need your help. Can you send me your complete sensor logs from when the human ships helped you, including all behavioral data?" "Of course, but why?" "Please," Zuri interrupted, her tone carrying an urgency that made Lyra's secondary heart skip. "It's important." As soon as the Miraxian data arrived, Zeri began her analysis. The pieces were falling into place. Dr. Kvix's report had used selective editing so subtle that even the Galactic Council's fact-checkers had missed it. He had taken footage of human emergency responses and reframed them as chaotic behavior. Scenes of humans rushing into danger to help others were labeled as reckless individualism. Her door chime sounded. "Enter," she called, quickly saving her work to a secure data crystal. Dr. Kvix himself glided in, his senior researcher robes immaculate as always. "Ah, Zeri." Still analyzing the human response to the solar storm. Fascinating display of their chaotic nature, wasn't it? "Actually, sir," Zeri straightened her posture, all 4 of her hearts pounding. "I've been reviewing our original research. All of it." Kvix's primary tendrils twitched. "There's no need. My report was quite thorough." "Like how thorough you were in editing out the human emergency services." Zari projected an original footage stream onto her main screen. "Or how you removed every instance of their relief efforts." "You don't understand." Kvix's color patterns shifted to warning hues. "The Scatheri have spent centuries building our reputation as the galaxy's humanitarian leaders. When we discovered humans, their natural tendency to help others threatened everything we worked for. Their chaotic, unstructured assistance makes our carefully organized aid programs look less impressive." Zori completed, her tendrils fully extended now in a stance of challenge. "So you deliberately misrepresented them to the council." "I presented the facts in a way that protected our cultural heritage," Kvix countered. "The Scatheri way is about order, structure, proper procedures. The Scatheri way is about truth," Zari cut in. She initiated a data transfer to the Galactic Council's secure channel. That's why I'm sending them everything. The original footage, the edited versions, the timestamps showing deliberate manipulation. Even this conversation. Kvix's colors paled. You cannot. My reputation is worth less than the truth, Zuri finished, and worth far less than the lives that could have been lost if humans had followed our warnings and stayed away when they were needed. As Kvix fled her quarters, Zuri received another transmission from Lyra. More human ships had arrived at the habitation rings. They were organizing repair teams, sharing resources, teaching local engineers their shield modification techniques. Zuri added this new footage to her report. Let the Council see humans as they truly were, not as threats to anyone's reputation or status, but as beings who helped simply because they could, because that's what humans did. And maybe, she reflected as she authorized the final data transfer. It's what this Cathari could learn to do too. The Grand Council chamber had never been so silent. The holographic displays showed Zuri's unedited footage in its entirety. Hours of human emergency responses, disaster relief efforts, and spontaneous acts of assistance. Chief Administrator Mextel's crystalline form remained still, absorbing every detail. Researcher Zuri. Mextel's voice resonated through the chamber. Your evidence is overwhelming. We owe humanity a profound apology. Zuri stood before the council, her tendrils relaxed for the first time in days. Beside her, Captain Sarah Chen of the Hope's Horizon watched the proceedings with quiet attention. The human captain had been invited to represent Earth's interests during this historic session. However, Mextel continued, these revelations raised disturbing questions, not just about the Sktheri deception, but about our own protocols. The administrator's crystal matrix pulsed with new colors. During the solar storm crisis, human ships acted without authorization, ignored standard procedures, and took tremendous risks. And in doing so, they saved millions of lives. The chamber erupted in discussion. A Pleiadian representative rose, their bioluminescence bright with emotion. The humans' methods during the evacuation defied all established protocols. Each ship acted independently, yet somehow maintained perfect coordination. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. Because we didn't have time for protocols. Sarah spoke for the first time, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. In a crisis, every second spent waiting for authorization costs lives. My crew knows this. Every human ship knows this. We act first and file the paperwork later. Precisely. Mextel's colors shifted to decision patterns. And that is what we must learn from humanity. Their greatest strength isn't their technology or their resources. It's their ability to act decisively while working together. Each human ship during the crisis made independent decisions while supporting the others. No central authority, no approval chain, just immediate action. The Council's historians began recording as Mextel outlined a series of radical changes. Emergency protocols would be streamlined. Ships of all species would be empowered to render immediate assistance. The emphasis would shift from proper procedures to practical results. In the observation gallery, Lyra watched with all four eyes wide. The Meraxian medical officer had been invited as a witness, along with representatives from dozens of species who had experienced human assistance firsthand. Each had their own story of how humans had helped them without hesitation or expectation of reward. There's more. Zuri stepped forward, her research tendrils extended. The human concept of paying it forward. It's spreading. The Centaurian fleet has already modified their patrol routes to include wellness checks, just like human ships do. The Aldebarans are establishing their own emergency response teams based on human models. Even some young Sktheri are volunteering for immediate disaster response training. Sarah smiled at this. Her crew had been teaching emergency response techniques to anyone who wanted to learn. The Hope's Horizon had become a floating classroom between missions, with engineers and medics from a dozen species learning human methods of rapid response and adaptation. Which brings us to our next decision, Mextel announced. We propose the establishment of a new emergency response network. not controlled by the Council, but coordinated between all willing species, a system that combines human adaptability with the unique strengths of each civilization. The chamber's holographic displays shifted, showing a map of known space. Points of light indicated every registered ship that had volunteered for the new network. The number was staggering. Thousands of vessels from hundreds of species, ready to help anyone in need. We were wrong about humanity, Mextol concluded. We saw their independence as a weakness, their emotional responses as a flaw. Instead, they have shown us a better way. Not through rigid structures or careful protocols, but through immediate action and genuine care for others. Sarah stood a little straighter, feeling the weight of the moment. We're not special, she said simply. We just believe that helping others is the right thing to do. And it seems we're not the only ones who think that way. As if to prove her point, an emergency signal flashed on the chamber screens. A transport was in trouble near the outer rim. Before the Council could respond, ships of 6 different species were already changing course to help. Not because they had to, not because it was protocol, but because that's what people did when others needed help, no matter what species they happened to be. The Earth-designed Emergency Response Center floated serenely in orbit around Proxima Centauri, its crystalline observation dome reflecting starlight in patterns that pleased both human and alien aesthetics. Inside, Zeri stood before the main control center, her research tendrils moving gracefully across the holographic displays as she monitored rescue operations across 3 sectors. 1 year had passed since the Council's historic decision, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The young Scatheri scientist now led the Joint Species Emergency Response Initiative, or JSERI, a position that would have been unthinkable in the old days of rigid hierarchies. Incoming priority signal, announced Lyra from her medical coordination station. The Meraxian's 4 eyes focused on the data stream. Passenger liner reporting engine troubles in the outer rim. 200 civilians aboard. Zeri's tendrils flowed through the sector data. Nearest vessels. 3 ships already responding, Lyra reported with a smile. The human vessel Star Shepherd, a Scatheri research ship New Horizon. And this is interesting, the Healing Light. Zeri recognized the name. It was Lyra's old ship, now part of the Rapid Response Fleet. On the main screen, she watched the 3 vessels converge on the liner's position. No hesitation, no bureaucratic delays, just immediate action. Captain Sarah Chen's voice came through the comm system. She had been appointed as humanity's representative to JSERI's advisory board, though she still preferred active duty on the Hope's horizon. Zari, just finished reviewing your proposal for the new training program. The combination of Scatheri analytical methods with human practical exercises is brilliant. When can we start? The first class begins next week, Zeri replied, watching as the rescue ships reached the liner. We have students from 12 species enrolled. Even Dr. Kavix has volunteered to teach the theoretical components. That had been an unexpected development. After the scandal of his deception, Kavix had resigned his position in shame. But months of watching humans work alongside his people had transformed him. He now dedicated himself to understanding and teaching what he once feared: the art of immediate practical assistance. The main screen showed the rescue in progress. The human ship provided power support, while the Scatheri vessel used its advanced sensors to diagnose the engine problem. The Healing Light stood ready to receive passengers if evacuation became necessary. 3 species working in perfect concert, each contributing their unique strengths. Director Zeri, a young Scatheri aide, approached, offering a data crystal, the latest statistics from the network. The numbers were remarkable. Emergency response times had decreased by 60%. Survival rates in crisis situations had nearly doubled. But more impressive were the cultural changes. Species that had once been rigidly isolated now worked together regularly. Knowledge and resources were shared freely. New emergency signal, Lyra announced. But it's different. A Danibian colony is requesting assistance with a planetary engineering project. Not an emergency, they just need help. Zeri felt her heart's warm. This too had become common. Species reaching out for help before situations became critical, knowing they would be met with willing assistance rather than bureaucratic procedures. I remember, Sarah's voice carried a smile. When we were told humans wouldn't assist, that we were too individualistic, too chaotic to work with others. Now look at us, all of us. The observation dome's transparent sections offered a view of nearby space, where ships of various species went about their duties. Many bore the distinctive blue stripe that marked them as emergency response vessels. Each had a unique story of lives saved, help given, and bonds formed. On the wall of the control center, a simple plaque bore the words that had become JSERI's unofficial motto: "In space, no one succeeds alone." Below it, in smaller text, "Dedicated to those who teach us that helping others is never a sign of weakness, but the greatest strength we possess." Zeri's tendrils moved through the sector data one last time before her shift ended. Somewhere out there, another call for help would come, and when it did, someone would answer. Not because of protocols or regulations, but because that's what people did. After all, she reflected, watching the stars shine through the dome. That's what humans had taught them, and some lessons were too valuable to forget.
Picture this: the most pompous, self-important collection of alien bureaucrats you've ever seen, all crammed into a massive crystalline chamber that screams we spent way too much money on interior decorating. The Galactic Council, ladies and gentlemen, where ego meets incompetence and has awkward alien babies. At the center of this circus sits Chancellor Blimforth, a 7-foot-tall purple blob with more tentacles than common sense and a voice that sounds like someone gargling gravel mixed with unearned confidence. He's been running this show for 3 centuries, which in galactic politics is apparently long enough to develop a god complex but not long enough to develop actual wisdom. Esteemed colleagues, Blimforth announces, his voice echoing through the chamber like a bad audio system at a high school assembly. Today we witness yet another primitive species attempt the ultimate test. Oh, the ultimate test, capital T, capital U, capital T, because nothing says we take ourselves way too seriously, like unnecessarily capitalizing your supposedly impossible challenge. This thing has been the Galactic Council's pride and joy for over 2,000 years. A survival gauntlet so brutally difficult that it's stumped every single species that's ever attempted it. And trust me, that's a lot of species. We're talking hundreds of civilizations, each one convinced they were the hottest thing since sliced bread, all reduced to quivering masses of regret and therapy bills. The test was designed by some long-dead species called the Tormentors, which should have been the first red flag, but apparently the Galactic Council missed that memo along with several others. These Tormentors were basically the galaxy's ultimate sadists, and they created this test as their final middle finger to the universe before they conveniently went extinct. Probably from testing their own creation, but nobody talks about that part. The humans, Blimforth continues, practically vibrating with smugness, will surely provide us with the same entertainment as all the others. Perhaps even more so, given their laughably primitive origins. The council members make various sounds of agreement, which range from clicking to gurgling, to what sounds suspiciously like someone stepping on a squeaky toy. They're all so confident, so absolutely certain that these upstart humans will crash and burn like everyone else. After all, what could possibly go wrong with their foolproof plan? Famous last words in any language, folks. Famous last words. And then the humans walk in, and you can practically hear the record scratch moment happening in real time. First through the door is Captain Jake Morrison, callsign Tank, and let me tell you, the nickname fits. This guy looks like he was carved out of granite by someone who had very strong opinions about jawlines. 6'4", built like a brick house, and carrying himself with the kind of casual confidence that comes from having survived things that would give other species nightmares. He's wearing what appears to be a standard military uniform, except it's covered in patches from places that sound made up. Antarctica winter survival expert. Tornado chaser certified. Australian outback guide. The aliens don't know what any of these mean, but they're getting a very bad feeling about it. Behind him walks Dr. Luna Reeves, and she's the kind of brilliant that makes other people feel inadequate just by existing. PhD in about 6 different fields, all of which sound terrifying when you really think about them. Xenobiology, extreme environment adaptation, something called disaster psychology that nobody wants to ask about. She's got this perpetual smirk like she's in on a joke that nobody else gets, and spoiler alert, she absolutely is. Bringing up the rear is Marcus O'Sullivan, but everyone calls him Mac, and he's the kind of engineer who looks at impossible problems and says hold my beer. Short, stocky, with hands that look like they've personally wrestled with every piece of machinery ever built. The kind of guy who can fix a warp drive with duct tape and spite, and has probably done it more than once. Now here's where things get interesting. Chancellor Blimforth, in his infinite wisdom, decides to show off his extensive research on humanity. Ah yes, he says, tentacles waving dramatically, the species from the Class 12 Death World. How fascinating that you managed to develop spaceflight despite your hostile environment. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop, if pins made sound in space, which they don't, but you get the idea. I'm sorry, Luna says, and her voice has this dangerous sweetness to it, like honey mixed with nitroglycerin. Did you just call Earth a Class 12 Death World? Indeed. The highest classification on our danger scale. Your planet is quite remarkable in its hostility to life. Jake starts laughing. Not chuckling, not giggling, but full-on belly laughing like someone just told him the best joke he's ever heard. You think Earth is hostile, he manages between laughs. Buddy, Earth is where we go for vacation. Mac nods sagely. Pretty relaxing place, really. No acid storms, gravity's nice and light, barely any radiation. Wait, Luna interjects, what classification is Australia? The aliens frantically check their databases. The answer comes back, and you can see Blimforth's color shift from purple to a sickly green. Class 15. Right. Jake grins. And that's just one continent. Mac here grew up in Alaska, which I'm betting you've got listed as somewhere around Class 14. The council members are starting to make distressed noises. This is not going according to plan. So naturally, because the universe has a sense of humor, and it's apparently feeling particularly spiteful today, Chancellor Blimforth decides to double down on his bad decisions. You know, like a gambler who's already lost his house, but figures one more hand will fix everything. Nevertheless, he declares, his voice cracking just slightly, the ultimate test remains impossible for any species to complete. You will see, and with that he activates the test chamber, because nothing says I'm totally confident in my position, like desperately trying to prove a point to people who are already laughing at you. The chamber doors slide open with the kind of dramatic hiss that screams, we spent way too much on special effects, and inside is what can only be described as someone's idea of absolute hell. We're talking acid rain that could strip paint off a starship, gravity cranked up to about 3 times Earth normal, an atmosphere that's roughly 60% toxic gas and 40% spite, and vegetation that looks like it was designed by a committee of sadists who really didn't like the concept of living things. The other species taking the test, and oh yes, there are others because apparently the Galactic Council believes in the buddy system even for traumatic experiences, immediately start deploying enough protective equipment to stock a small army. Environmental suits that look like they cost more than most planets' GDP, gravity compensators, air filtration systems that could probably clean the atmosphere of a factory world, and enough backup equipment to supply a small space station. The Zephyrians, who look like crystalline butterflies, if butterflies were the size of refrigerators and had anxiety disorders, are practically encasing themselves in a mobile bunker. The Gornaki, big lizard-like creatures who are apparently the galaxy's premier warriors, are suiting up like they're about to storm the beaches of Normandy. The Ethereal Collective, who are basically sentient gas clouds with superiority complexes, are surrounding themselves with so many force fields they look like a very pretentious disco ball. And then there are the humans. Jake takes one look at the environment, sniffs the air, and nods approvingly. Nice. Reminds me of that training exercise in the Amazon during monsoon season. Luna is already pulling out what appears to be a standard scientific tablet, and starts taking readings. Oh, this is interesting. The acid rain has a pH of about 1.2, that's actually less acidic than my morning coffee. Matt just rolls up his sleeves. Well, this should be fun. Haven't had a good challenge since that reactor meltdown on Kepler Station. The aliens monitoring the test through their fancy observation systems are starting to make the kind of noises usually associated with small animals in distress. Because while everyone else is still getting suited up, Jake has just stepped into the acid rain and started using it to clean mud off his boots. Hey Luna, he calls out cheerfully. This stuff works better than that industrial cleaner we used on the ship. Luna, who has now collected several samples of the deadly vegetation and appears to be taking notes like she's writing a grocery list, looks up with interest. Really, we should bottle some for later. Meanwhile, Mac has found what the test designers probably thought was an impossible shelter building challenge, where you have to construct adequate protection using only the materials available in the environment, and he's treating it like the world's most relaxing home improvement project. He's already identified which of the deadly plants have useful fibers, which rocks have the best structural integrity, and how to use the acid rain as a natural adhesive. You know, he says conversationally while building what appears to be a rather cozy little shelter, "This reminds me of that camping trip in Siberia. Remember that, Jake, when the temperature hit -40 and we had to build shelter out of ice and wishful thinking?" "Oh yeah," Jake laughs, now apparently using one of the terrifying predator plants as a back scratcher. "Good times. Though this is definitely more comfortable. At least it's warm." The monitoring systems are going absolutely insane. Alarms are blaring, warning lights are flashing, and the alien observers are starting to question everything they thought they knew about the universe and their place in it. Because in the span of about 20 minutes, while other species are still figuring out how to not die from the air, the humans have essentially turned a nightmare hellscape into what appears to be a moderately pleasant afternoon outing. Now, if you thought the aliens were having a bad time during the setup phase, you should see what happens when the test actually gets going. Because the tormentors, bless their sadistic little hearts, didn't just create a hostile environment. Oh no, that would be too simple. They created a hostile environment with a deadly obstacle course, complete with biomechanical predators that were designed to be absolutely unstoppable killing machines. Picture this: creatures that look like someone crossed a tiger with a spider, gave it armor plating, and then asked a committee of nightmares to make it worse. These things are 12 feet long, have claws that can cut through starship hull plating, and possess hunting instincts that would make a great white shark weep with envy. They're called apex hunters, because apparently the tormentors had all the creativity of a B-movie scriptwriter, and they've been the downfall of every single species that's attempted this test. The Zephyrians take one look at the first apex hunter, and immediately start broadcasting distress signals in 17 different languages. The Gornaki, who are supposed to be the galaxy's ultimate warriors, start forming defensive formations that look suspiciously like very organized panic. The ethereal collective just straight up nopes out of there, floating away at maximum speed while making sounds that probably translate to "I didn't sign up for this." And then there are the humans, who have apparently decided that deadly biomechanical predators are the perfect opportunity to turn this into some kind of twisted team-building exercise. Okay, so we've got multiple hostiles incoming, Jake announces like he's calling out plays in a football game. "Luna, what's your read on their weak points?" Luna, who is currently hanging upside down from a tree branch getting a better angle to observe one of the creatures, calls back, "Well, they've got excellent armor plating, but it looks like the joints are exposed. Also, their hunting pattern suggests they rely heavily on thermal imaging, so they're probably vulnerable to temperature confusion." "Got it," Mac yells from somewhere inside what appears to be a rapidly constructed fortress made of rocks, acid-resistant plants, and what looks suspiciously like parts cannibalized from the test environment itself. "I can rig up some thermal decoys. Give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The galaxy's most feared biomechanical killing machines, and Mac needs 5 minutes to figure out how to outsmart them using what's essentially prehistoric technology and human ingenuity. Meanwhile, Jake has apparently decided that the best way to deal with a 12-foot-long armored predator is to wrestle it into submission. And he's winning. The apex hunter, which has never in its artificially extended life encountered anything that didn't immediately run away screaming, is having what can only be described as an existential crisis. It was designed to hunt prey that would flee in terror, not prey that would grab it in a headlock and start giving it a lecture about proper hunting techniques. "See, the problem with you guys," Jake explains to the confused predator while casually avoiding its claws, "is that you're too focused on the intimidation factor. Sure, you look scary, but you've got no follow-through. Now, if you really want to be an effective predator, you need to work on your grappling game." The monitoring systems are going absolutely bonkers. The aliens observing this are making noises that their translators are probably wisely refusing to interpret. Chancellor Blimforth has gone from purple to green to what appears to be a very concerning shade of transparent. But wait, it gets better. Because Luna has figured out that the apex hunters communicate through subsonic frequencies, and she's managed to hack into their communication network using her tablet and what appears to be a jury-rigged antenna made from some of the local vegetation. "Hey guys," she calls out cheerfully. "I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I can now talk to these things. The bad news is they're apparently very lonely and have been asking if we want to be friends." "Friends?" Mac pokes his head out of his fortress, which now appears to have grown significantly and might actually qualify as a small castle. "With the murder machines." Well, turns out they're not actually murder machines. They're just really bad at making friends. Apparently, everyone they've ever met has run away screaming before they could properly introduce themselves. And that's how the humans accidentally turned the galaxy's most feared predators into the galaxy's most socially awkward pets. The apex hunters, who have spent millennia being the ultimate test of survival, are now following the humans around like oversized armored puppies, who are just excited to have someone to talk to. But the real kicker comes when they reach the final challenge, the puzzle that stumped every species for 2,000 years. It's this massive crystalline structure covered in symbols that shift and change, requiring not just intelligence but the kind of lateral thinking that most civilized species have been educated out of. The other species, what's left of them anyway, are standing around looking defeated. The Zephyrians are crying, which is apparently a thing they can do. The Gornaki are having what appears to be an honor-based argument about who gets to give up first. The ethereal collective has given up entirely, and is just floating in a corner making sad gas cloud noises. And the humans? Well, they're looking at this supposedly impossible puzzle, and having what appears to be a very casual conversation. So Jake says, scratching his chin, "This is supposed to be impossible, right?" According to the briefing, Luna confirms, running her hands over the crystalline surface, some kind of ultimate test of intelligence and problem-solving ability. Mac is already pulling out tools that he definitely didn't have when this started, but has apparently manufactured from test environment materials and pure spite. Well, it's a machine, right? And machines can be fixed, modified, or convinced to do what you want them to do. Wait, Luna says, and her voice has that dangerous tone again. Are you suggesting we don't solve the puzzle? I'm suggesting, Mac grins, that we give it what it wants to hear. And that's how the humans solved the galaxy's most impossible puzzle, by completely ignoring the rules and just asking it nicely to please stop being difficult, because they had a schedule to keep. The crystalline structure, which has been the final boss of this test for 2 millennia, apparently just needed someone to say please, and thank you. It opens up like a flower, revealing the completion chamber, and starts playing what sounds suspiciously like a victory fanfare. The aliens are no longer making any noise at all. They've moved beyond shock, beyond horror, beyond any emotion that has a name. They're just standing there, staring, as the humans casually stroll through the completion chamber, like they're taking a leisurely walk through a park. So there they are, the humans, standing in the completion chamber, after absolutely demolishing a test that has been the galaxy's gold standard for impossible for the past 2,000 years. The timer reads 4 hours and 37 minutes, which is not just a record, it's the kind of record that makes you question whether the timer is broken, reality is broken, or you're having a very elaborate nervous breakdown. For context, the previous best time was held by the Supremacy Collective, and they took 6 months. 6 months of careful planning, extensive preparation, and eventually giving up and crying. The humans did it in less time than it takes to watch a decent movie, and they brought snacks. Chancellor Blimforth is staring at the results display like it personally insulted his mother. His color has cycled through the entire visible spectrum, and has now settled on a shade that doesn't technically exist, and is probably giving the monitoring equipment a headache. This is impossible, he whispers, his voice cracking like a teenager going through puberty. The test is impossible. It has always been impossible. The tormentors designed it to be impossible. Oh, about that, Luna says, looking up from her tablet, where she's apparently been doing some light reading while the aliens have their collective mental breakdown. I did some digging into the test's programming while we were in there. Turns out the tormentors didn't design this as a test of survival or intelligence. The chamber goes so quiet you could hear a quantum particle thinking about existing. They designed it as revenge. And there it is. The other shoe drops with the kind of cosmic thud that probably registered on seismic equipment 3-star systems away. Revenge. Blimforth manages to croak out. Oh yeah, Luna continues with the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. See, the tormentors were apparently really angry about being wiped out by a coalition of galactic species about 3,000 years ago. So they created this test as their final middle finger to the universe. It was specifically designed to be impossible for any civilized species to complete. Mac looks up from where he's been tinkering with what appears to be a souvenir he made from crystalline puzzle fragments. So it was supposed to be a permanent screw you to everyone. Exactly. The whole thing was rigged from the start. Every challenge, every obstacle, every supposedly impossible element was calibrated to exploit the specific psychological and physical limitations of civilized galactic species. Jake, who has been scratching behind what might charitably be called the ears of his new apex hunter buddy, grins. So they basically designed the perfect test to fail every species in the galaxy except for the one species they never met. Bingo. The silence that follows this revelation is the kind of silence usually associated with the heat death of the universe. It's so profound that it has weight, mass, and is probably bending space-time around itself. Chancellor Blimforth makes a sound that the translation systems wisely refuse to interpret. It's followed by several more sounds that suggest his mind is not just blown, it's been launched into orbit, achieved escape velocity, and is currently exploring distant galaxies. But He stammers, you treated it like a mildly interesting afternoon. Jake supplies helpfully. Yeah, well that's because it kind of was. I mean don't get me wrong, it was fun and all, but we've had company picnics that were more challenging. The acid rain was actually pretty refreshing, Mac adds. And those apex hunters are surprisingly good conversationalists once you get them talking. Plus I got some fantastic samples for my research. Luna chimes in, this whole experience has been wonderfully educational. The other alien species who managed to survive the test, and by survive I mean, were carried out by their respective emergency medical teams while gibbering incoherently, are being treated for what the medical staff are diplomatically calling acute reality adjustment syndrome. Chancellor Blimforth, meanwhile, has reached the final stage of his mental breakdown and has started laughing. Not happy laughing, mind you, but the kind of laughing that suggests someone's brain has decided to take an extended vacation and left a gone fishing sign behind. So you're telling me, he gasps between increasingly hysterical giggles, that for 2,000 years, we've been using a test designed by a species that wanted to make sure we'd never succeed, and the first species to beat it are a bunch of deathworlders who think acid rain makes good cleaning supplies. Pretty much the humans reply in unison. And that's how the Galactic Council learned that their ultimate test was actually an elaborate prank by a dead civilization, and the punchline was a species that considers their homeworld a relaxing vacation spot. So here we are, 3 hours later, in what has to be the most awkward awards ceremony in galactic history. Chancellor Blimforth, who has been sedated twice, and is currently being held upright by a combination of alien medical technology and sheer bureaucratic stubbornness, is attempting to officially welcome humanity to the Galactic Council. His speech, which was probably very impressive when he wrote it, has been reduced to a series of random words occasionally interrupted by what sounds like suppressed sobbing. The other council members are maintaining the kind of professional composure that only comes from years of political training and possibly medication. We hereby with great the humans have, please don't hurt us, Blimforth manages, before his aide gently takes the microphone away from him. The humans meanwhile, are standing there looking like they've just been told they won a prize for something they do every Tuesday. Jake is still accompanied by his apex hunter buddy, who has apparently decided that following humans around is way more fun than being a terrifying predator. Luna is taking notes on alien psychology with the kind of scientific fascination usually reserved for discovering new species. Mac appears to have built a small device out of spare parts during the ceremony, and is now testing it by making it play what sounds like classical Earth music. So Jake says, because apparently someone needs to break the uncomfortable silence, this is nice and all, but we should probably mention that we've got a schedule to keep. We're supposed to stop by the Kepler station to help with their reactor problem, then swing by the Tau Ceti system to assist with their asteroid mining operation. The aliens exchange glances that suggest they're beginning to understand that their problems might be just beginning. Asteroid mining. Someone squeaks from the back of the chamber. Oh yeah, Max says, without looking up from his device, should be fun. Haven't done any large-scale demolition work in a while. Last time was when we helped clear out that black hole's accretion disk. Good times. You cleared out a black hole's accretion disk. Well, not the whole thing, Jake clarifies. Just the dangerous parts. Though I guess technically all parts of a black hole are dangerous, so we basically redesigned the whole system. The locals were very grateful. Luna looks up from her notes. Oh, and we should probably mention that Earth is sending a delegation to the next Galactic Council meeting. They're very excited to meet everyone. The color drains from every alien face in the chamber, which is particularly impressive for the species that don't technically have faces. How many humans are coming? Blimforth whispers. Just a few thousand, Jake replies cheerfully. You know, diplomats, scientists, engineers, a few military advisors, some tourists who heard the galaxy was nice this time of year. Pretty standard stuff. Tourists, someone repeats faintly. Yeah, Earth tourism industry is really taking off. Apparently there's a lot of interest in visiting places that aren't actively trying to kill you. It's a novelty. And with that casual revelation, the humans collect their certificates of membership, shake hands with various appendages, and head toward the exit. Jake's apex hunter friend trots along beside him like the galaxy's most dangerous therapy dog. Luna waves goodbye while somehow managing to take readings on the atmospheric composition of the chamber. Mac has his new device playing what sounds suspiciously like Earth's greatest hits. As they reach the door, Jake turns back with the kind of grin that has probably caused civilizations to surrender preemptively. Oh, one more thing, he says. Thanks for the test. It was actually pretty relaxing. Most fun we've had since we helped that neutron star with its rotation problem. You helped a neutron star with its rotation problem? Blimforth asks, though it sounds like he's not sure he wants to know the answer. Long story, Jake grins. We'll tell you about it next time. And with that, the humans leave, taking with them the last remnants of the Galactic Council's collective sanity, and leaving behind the kind of silence usually associated with the aftermath of natural disasters. In the distance, you can hear Chancellor Blimforth asking his aide to check if their insurance covers acts of casual human competence. The answer, it turns out, is no, it does not.
The mining colony's warning systems flashed red across every screen in the control room. Blue Song's four hands moved quickly over the holographic controls, his crystalline body reflecting the emergency lights. The small colony of Astra beings had never expected trouble this far out in space. They were peaceful miners, working on the edge of known space, gathering rare minerals that their species needed for sustenance. Elder Blue Song called out Crystal Hum, the youngest operator in the room. The long-range scanners show multiple ships entering our system. They're not sending any friendly signals. Blue Song floated closer to the main screen, his transparent body clouding with worry. A natural reaction among the Astra. The ships on the screen were arranged in an attack formation. Anyone with even basic knowledge of space combat would recognize it. But the Astra weren't warriors. They had never needed to be. How many? Blue Song asked, his voice resonating like wind through crystal. 27 large vessels, Elder, and they matched the description of the Dark Swarm fleet. The control room fell silent. Everyone had heard stories of the Dark Swarm, the terror fleet that appeared from nowhere, stripped colonies bare, and disappeared with all resources and survivors. No one who encountered them ever returned to tell their tale. The only reason anyone knew about them was because of the evidence they left behind. Empty, broken colonies. "We must contact the Galactic Council," said Crystal Hum, his young voice shaking. Blue Song's body dimmed slightly, their equivalent of shaking their head. The Council's nearest fleet is 3 weeks away at maximum speed. The Dark Swarm will be here in less than 2 days. The colony held 5,000 Astra souls. 5,000 of his people who had trusted him to lead them safely. Blue Song looked around the control room, seeing the fear in his people's clouding bodies. They were miners, scientists, families. They had no weapons, no defense systems beyond basic shields meant to protect against asteroids. Then he remembered something. The forbidden frequency. "There is one option," Blue Song said slowly, "but the Council has forbidden contact with them." "With who, Elder?" Crystal Hum moved closer, hope returning some clarity to his form. "The Deathworlders. The humans." Gasps echoed through the crystal walls. Every young Astra learned about humans in their history lessons. The strange beings from a planet that should have killed them. A species that evolved on a world with crushing gravity, deadly predators, and extreme temperature changes. Their bodies were dense with muscle and bone, their minds sharp with survival instincts, and their technology. Their technology was built to endure everything their hellish world had thrown at them. The Galactic Council had voted to isolate them centuries ago. Too dangerous, they said. Too unpredictable. Too willing to fight. The humans had accepted the decision with what they called a shrug, and simply continued building their empire in their assigned sector of space. But they had left behind one thing: an emergency frequency. A way to call for help if anyone ever truly needed them. Blue Song moved to the communications array. His fingers hesitated over the controls. Using this frequency would mean breaking the highest laws of the Council. But as he looked at the screen showing the approaching Dark Swarm fleet, he knew there was no choice. "Elder," Crystal Hum whispered, "the stories say humans are violent and unpredictable. They might be as dangerous as the Dark Swarm." Blue Song's body glowed with determination. "The difference, young one, is the humans fight to protect. The Dark Swarm fight to destroy. Sometimes we must trust in the dangerous to save us from the evil." His fingers moved over the controls, inputting the frequency that no one had used in centuries. The emergency beacon activated, sending a powerful signal into the void of space. The message was simple, sent in the human language of English that all Astra learned as part of their history studies. To any human ships, this is the Astra mining colony in Sector 7B9. We are under attack by a hostile fleet. We have no weapons. We have children. Please help us. Please. The message shot out faster than light, racing through the darkness between stars. All they could do now was wait, and hope that the most feared species in the galaxy would choose to answer their call. Crystal Hum moved to the window, looking up at the stars. Do you think they'll come, Elder? Blue Song joined him at the window. The stories say that humans never abandon a cry for help. Now we will see if the stories are true. Above them, the stars continued to shine, unknowing of the drama unfolding beneath them. Somewhere out there, their message was speeding through space, searching for the only beings in the galaxy that the Dark Swarm had never dared to attack. The Deathworlders, the humans, their last hope. Admiral Marcus stood on the bridge of the Earth Fleet's flagship, Thunder, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The massive ship, nearly 2 miles long, cruised through hyperspace with its escort fleet of 15 vessels. They were returning from a routine patrol of human space when the signal came through. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Reed from the communication station. We're picking up a distress signal. It's using the emergency frequency, sir. Marcus straightened his back. The emergency frequency hadn't been used in over 200 years, not since the Galactic Council had decided that humanity was too dangerous to interact with. They'd left the frequency as a final lifeline, knowing that someday someone might need the very thing that made humans so feared, their ability to fight. Play it, Marcus ordered, his voice deep and calm. The message echoed through the bridge, the alien voice speaking careful English, begging for help. The crew fell silent as they listened to the desperation in those words. Sir, the ship's eye, Atlas, appeared as a blue hologram. The signal originates from an Astra mining colony. Scans indicate they are being approached by 27 warships. Based on their formation and energy signatures, they match known Dark Swarm patterns. Marcus's jaw tightened. Everyone had heard of the Dark Swarm, pirates and raiders who preyed on peaceful species. They'd never dared enter human space, but their reputation for cruelty was well known. Time to intercept if we alter course, Marcus asked. 38 hours at maximum safe speed, Atlas replied. However, the Dark Swarm will reach the colony in 47 hours. We have a narrow window, Admiral. Lieutenant Reed looked up from her station. Sir, the Galactic Council's laws clearly forbid us from entering that sector. We'd be breaking at least 6 major treaties. Marcus walked to the front viewport, watching the streaks of hyperspace light pass by. He thought about the fear in that alien voice, about the children mentioned in the message. He thought about how humanity had accepted their isolation, understanding the galaxy's fear of them. But they had never accepted the idea of standing by while the innocent suffered. Atlas, he said quietly, what happens to Astra colonies when the Dark Swarm finds them? The AI's hologram flickered. Based on historical data, sir, total destruction. No survivors. Marcus turned to face his crew. Every eye on the bridge was fixed on him. They all knew what was at stake. Not just the lives of the colonists, but possibly humanity's standing in the galaxy. Breaking the treaties could lead to even stricter isolation, maybe even sanctions. Send a message to Earth Command, Marcus ordered. Inform them that we received an emergency signal and are responding as per Article 7 of the Human Emergency Response Protocol. A small smile crossed Lieutenant Reed's face. Article 7 was an old Earth law, predating their contact with aliens. Any ship captain who ignores a distress signal is guilty of failing to render assistance under maritime law. Atlas, plot and intercept course. Push the engines to maximum. Lieutenant Reed, send a message to the colony. Tell them. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Tell them help is coming. Sir, Atlas's hologram flickered with calculations. Even at maximum speed, we have only a 9% chance of arriving before the Dark Swarm begins their attack. Marcus smiled, And there was something in that smile that reminded everyone on the bridge why humanity had earned their fearsome reputation. Then we'll just have to be quick about the rescue, won't we? All hands, his voice echoed through the ship's communications, battle stations. We're about to remind the galaxy why you don't hunt the innocent in our universe. The massive engines of the Thunder roared to life, pushing the ship faster through hyperspace. Behind it, 15 other human warships followed, their crews preparing for battle. They had trained all their lives for this, carrying the hope that someday, someone would need protectors more than they feared humanity's strength. In the command chair, Marcus watched as his crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had been called monsters, dangers, deathworlders. But now, they would show the galaxy the truth about humanity, that the same strength that made them dangerous also made them the best possible allies. Hold on, he whispered to the distant colony. The monsters are coming to save you. The Dark Swarm fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a swarm of metal locusts, their black ships blocking out the stars above the colony. Bluesong watched from the underground command center as the first shots lit up the morning sky, tearing through the colony's weak shields as if they were made of paper. Everyone is in the shelters, Crystal Hung reported, his crystalline form dimming with fear. All 5,000 colonists are below ground level. The underground chambers had been built to protect against solar radiation and meteor strikes, not warships. But they were better than nothing. Bluesong watched the main screen as the first Dark Swarm landing craft touched down near the main mining facilities. They're not destroying everything, noticed one of the operators. They're being careful with the equipment. Bluesong's form clouded with understanding. Because they want our mining machinery. They don't just destroy. They steal what they can use. The first images of the Dark Swarm troops came through the security cameras. They moved like oil across water, their black armor making them look like walking shadows. Each one carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. The Astra had always thought of themselves as tall, but these creatures towered over their normal height by at least 2 feet. Elder, Crystal Hum's voice shook. We received a response from the humans before the Dark Swarm arrived. They're coming. Should we try to hold out? Bluesong watched as the Dark Swarm methodically began searching the colony's buildings. Their movements were practiced, efficient. They'd done this many times before. We have no choice but to hold out, he said. But we must be smart. Atlas, seal all data cores. Activate the emergency deletion protocols. The colony's maintenance AI responded with a soft chime. Data cores sealed, Elder. All mining records in colonial databases are now locked behind quantum encryption. The Dark Swarm had reached the main administration building. Through the cameras, Bluesong could see them placing small devices on walls and doors. Seconds later, those devices pulsed with energy, and the locks melted away. They're going to find us, whispered one of the younger operators, her crystal form almost transparent with fear. Yes, Bluesong agreed, but they won't find us easily, and they won't find what they're looking for. The colonists had spent the last 2 days preparing. They'd hidden their most valuable mining data, scattered their food supplies across multiple storage rooms, and set up false leads that would take time to investigate, time they desperately needed. A loud boom echoed through the underground chambers. The Dark Swarm had found one of the main entrance points to the underground complex. All security doors, close and lock. Bluesong ordered. Activate the emergency maze protocol. The underground complex had been built with a clever design feature. In emergencies, the internal walls could move, turning the straight corridors into a complex maze. It wouldn't stop the Dark Swarm forever, but it would slow them down. Elder, Crystal Hum called out. They're broadcasting a message. The message played through the colony's speakers, the voice deep and artificial sounding. Attention Astra Colony. Your resources are now property of the Dark Swarm. Surrender and provide access to your data cores, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will ensure your suffering serves as a lesson to others. Bluesong's crystal form glowed with a fierce light. Send them our response. Crystal Hum looked uncertain. What response? Elder. Send them nothing. Let them waste time waiting for an answer that will never come. Every minute they spend waiting is another minute closer to our rescue. Through the cameras, they watched as the Dark Swarm forces grew frustrated with the silence. They began using heavier weapons on the doors, but each sealed door they melted through only led them to more corridors, more choices, more delays. In the shelter areas, 5,000 Astra huddled together, their crystal bodies glowing softly in the darkness. They could hear the sounds of the Dark Swarm above them, searching, breaking, destroying. But they held on to hope, the hope carried in the message they'd received. Hold on. The Death Worlders are coming. Blue Psalm looked at the countdown timer he'd started when they received the humans' response. 36 hours until their estimated arrival. They just had to survive until then. Keep watching the stars, he told his people. Our saviors are coming, and may the Dark Swarm learn what it means to hurt those under human protection. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the dark side of the colony's moon, their engines cold and silent. Admiral Marcus stood on the Thunder's Bridge, watching the tactical display show 23 Dark Swarm ships in orbit around the colony. 4 had landed on the surface. Status report, Marcus ordered quietly. They haven't detected us yet. Lieutenant Reed reported. Their sensors are focused on the colony. They're still trying to break into the underground complex. Atlas's hologram appeared, showing a detailed scan of the situation. The colony's defenders have been clever. They've turned their underground complex into a maze. The Dark Swarm have only managed to reach the outer sections. Marcus nodded, a grim smile on his face. Smart colonists. They've bought us the time we needed. Atlas, what's the status of our new toys? The gravity pulse weapons are charged, Admiral. All ships report ready. The gravity pulse weapons were humanity's newest innovation. The Galactic Council had banned them, calling them too dangerous. They hadn't wanted the Death Worlders to have weapons that could manipulate the very force that had made their home world so deadly. Send the signal to all ships, Marcus ordered. Operation Thunderstrike begins in 3 minutes. Remember, we want prisoners. The galaxy needs to know what happened here. The human fleet moved silently through space, spreading out in an attack formation that would have seemed suicidal to most species. 15 ships against 23 larger vessels, but humans had learned long ago that size wasn't everything. Sir, Reed called out, the Dark Swarm are broadcasting to the colony again. They're threatening to start executing prisoners if they don't get access to the data cores. Marcus's face hardened. Move up the timeline. Begin now. The human fleet accelerated as one, their engines lighting up the darkness. The Dark Swarm sensors finally detected them, but it was already too late. Target their engines and weapons, Marcus commanded. Show them what happens when you threaten the innocent. The Thunder's gravity pulse weapon fired first. A beam of invisible force struck the nearest Dark Swarm ship, crushing its engine section like a tin can. The massive ship spun helplessly, its crew experiencing crushing gravity levels that their bodies had never evolved to handle. Dark Swarm fleet is responding, Atlas reported. They appear confused by our attack pattern. Of course they were confused. No sane species would split their fleet into small attack groups, each ship charging directly at a superior enemy vessel. But humans had learned warfare on a world where predators attacked in packs, where smaller hunters could bring down larger prey. They're firing, Reed announced. The Dark Swarm ships launched their energy weapons, filling space with deadly beams. But human ships were built differently. Their hulls, designed to withstand the crushing pressures of Earth's gravity, shrugged off hits that would have vaporized other species' vessels. Return fire, Marcus ordered. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves, each ship supporting the others. Where the Dark Swarm expected them to retreat after taking damage, they pressed forward. Where they expected the humans to break formation under fire, they held together. Sir, Atlas reported, the enemy is attempting to regroup. Their commander appears to be realizing we're not a normal opponent. Marcus watched as his ships tore through the dark swarm formation. The gravity pulse weapons were doing their work, crushing engines, weapons, and power systems. The dark swarm's technological advantage meant nothing against weapons designed by beings who had evolved under crushing gravity. Message from the colony, Reed called out. The dark swarm ground forces are retreating to their ships. They're running from us, sir. Not today, Marcus said firmly. Send to all ships, block their escape. I want those ground forces captured. The galaxy needs to see what these creatures really are. The battle had lasted less than 15 minutes, and already half the Dark Swarm fleet was disabled or destroyed. Their remaining ships were trying to retreat, but found themselves trapped by the very force that had shaped humanity's evolution, gravity itself. Send a message to the Dark Swarm commander, Marcus ordered. Tell them, this is what happens when you prey on the innocent. Surrender now, or learn why the galaxy fears the Deathworlders. Blue Song and the colony's leadership watched in amazement through their few remaining external cameras as the battle unfolded above their world. The human ships moved in ways that defied conventional space combat wisdom, taking hits that should have destroyed them, pushing forward when any sane species would retreat. Their ships are damaged, Crystal Hum observed, watching the Thunder take another direct hit. But they're not stopping. How can they keep fighting with such damage? Because, Blue Song replied softly, they evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Everything about them is built to endure. On the Thunder's bridge, Admiral Marcus stood calmly as his ship shuddered under another impact. Warning lights flashed across multiple systems, but he knew his ship could take it. They had built their vessels like they built everything else, to survive whatever the universe threw at them. Port side armor is down to 40%. Atlas reported. 2 decks are exposed to space. Emergency force fields are holding. Crew status. Marcus asked, watching as another Dark Swarm ship succumbed to the gravity weapons. 3 injured, no casualties, Reed reported. Damage control teams are already repairing the breaches. They say they've done harder repairs during training. Sir, the Dark Swarm commander, Lord Hunter, watched from his flagship with growing horror as his fleet was systematically torn apart by ships that should have been destroyed 3 times over. His species had ruled the dark spaces between stars through superior technology and tactical doctrine. But these humans ignored everything they knew about warfare. My lord, his second reported, the human vessels are still advancing. Their hulls are heavily damaged, but their weapons remain at full power. They're not retreating. Why aren't they retreating? Because they're insane, Lord Hunter hissed. No species fights like this. No one advances into superior firepower. No one. His words cut off as his flagship shuddered. The humans had fired another gravity pulse, and he felt his own body growing heavy as artificial gravity crushed down on his bridge. In the colony below, the Dark Swarm ground forces were experiencing their own revelation about human nature. They had tried to return to their landing ships, only to find them crushed by invisible forces, their hulls crumpled like dying insects. Look, Crystal Hum pointed at one of the camera feeds. The humans are landing their own troops now. The human Marines emerged from their dropships wearing powered armor that made them even larger than the Dark Swarm. Where the raiders had moved like shadows, the humans moved like thunderstorms, each step leaving imprints in the metal deck plating. Surrender. The human Marine commander's voice boomed through external speakers. You have 10 seconds to comply. The Dark Swarm troops, for the first time in their history, dropped their weapons. They had never encountered a force that could not be broken, could not be scared, could not be defeated through superior technology. On the Thunder's bridge, Marcus received the report of the ground forces' surrender with satisfaction. Status of the enemy fleet. 17 ships disabled. Atlas reported. 6 attempting to retreat. No ships remain combat effective. Marcus opened a channel to all vessels, friend and foe alike. This is Admiral Marcus of the human Third Fleet. To all Dark Swarm ships, your ground forces have surrendered. Your fleet is in ruins. This is your final chance. Surrender now, or we will show you why our homeworld is called a death world. Blue Song watched the remaining Dark Swarm ships power down their weapons. In just 30 minutes, the most feared raiders in known space have been completely defeated by the species that the galaxy had tried to isolate. I understand now, he said quietly to Crystal Hum. The Council feared them because they are strong, but they never understood. The humans are strong because their world taught them to protect themselves, and now they protect others. Above the colony, the human fleet took up defensive positions, their damaged hulls gleaming in the starlight. They had arrived as saviors and proven themselves to be not just warriors, but guardians. The Deathworlders had shown the galaxy that being dangerous and being noble were not mutually exclusive. Lord Hunter of the Dark Swarm stood on his flagship's bridge, watching as his mighty fleet drifted powerless in space. The human gravity weapons had turned his once proud armada into floating wreckage. But he still had one card to play. One final move that had always worked before. Open a channel to the human flagship, he ordered, his black armor gleaming under the emergency lights. Admiral Marcus appeared on the main screen, his weathered face showing no emotion. Behind him, the human bridge crews worked calmly despite the battle damage visible around them. You fight well, human, Lord Hunter began, using his most diplomatic tone. Perhaps we can reach an arrangement. We have wealth beyond. Stop. Marcus cut him off. We're not interested in bribes. Surrender your ships and prepare to be boarded. Lord Hunter's red eyes narrowed. You don't understand. The Dark Swarm have resources across 50 star systems. We could offer you 50 systems you've stolen from others. Marcus interrupted again. Lieutenant Reed, how many colonies have the Dark Swarm raided in the past year? 23 confirmed attacks. Sir, Reed reported. No survivors found at any of them. The human admiral's face hardened. You see, Lord Hunter, we've been watching you for a long time. We stayed in our assigned sector of space, respecting the Council's wishes. But we never stopped monitoring what happened beyond our borders. On the colony below, Blue Song and his people had emerged from their underground shelters. Human Marines in powered armor stood guard as medical teams treated the few injuries from the siege. The colonists watched the exchange between the two commanders on public channels, their crystal bodies glowing with interest. You can't do this, Lord Hunter snarled, his diplomatic mask falling away. We are the Dark Swarm. We take what we want. You're nothing but bullies, Marcus said calmly. You prey on those who can't fight back. But you made a mistake today. You attacked someone who asked us for help. The Thunder's massive form moved closer to the Dark Swarm flagship, its damaged hull somehow making it look even more threatening. Like a warrior wearing battle scars with pride. One last chance, Marcus offered. Surrender now, and you'll face justice for your crimes. Resist, and we'll show you what happens when you push Deathworlders too far. Lord Hunter slammed his fist on his command console. We are the supreme power in the dark spaces. We will not bow to lesser beings who should have died on their brutal world. A small smile crossed Marcus's face. You still don't understand. We didn't survive our world. We mastered it. Atlas, execute final warning. The human fleet's gravity weapons powered up again, but this time they worked in reverse. Instead of crushing, they nullified the artificial gravity on every Dark Swarm ship. For most species, this would be an inconvenience. But the Dark Swarm, evolved in low-gravity environments, found themselves floating helplessly. Fun fact about humans, Marcus said as he watched the Dark Swarm cruise flail in zero gravity. We evolved to handle everything from 0 to 3 times Earth standard. Your bodies, on the other hand, are already showing signs of stress. In about 10 minutes, you'll start experiencing severe disorientation. In 20, organ failure begins. You wouldn't, Lord Hunter gasped, trying to grab onto something solid. The Council forbids such weapons. The Council forbids a lot of things, Marcus replied, including helping peaceful colonies under attack. So tell me, Lord Hunter, do you really want to bet your life that we always follow the rules? Through the video feed, Lord Hunter could see the determination in the human's eyes. He saw no fear, no hesitation, no doubt. He saw what his species had never understood, that the most dangerous beings in the galaxy were not those who loved violence, but those who had learned to use their strength to protect others. We surrender, Lord Hunter said finally. Full and unconditional surrender. Marcus nodded once. Wise choice. Atlas, restore their gravity. Marine teams, prepare for boarding. Let's show the galaxy what happens when raiders meet protectors. Bluesong watched as human ships moved to secure the Dark Swarm fleet. They did it, he said softly. They actually did it. Crystal Hum nodded beside him. Yes, Elder, but I think we all learned something today. The galaxy feared the human strength, but perhaps we should have feared what would happen without it. 3 months after the Battle of the Astra Colony, the Galactic Council chambers were packed with representatives from 100 species. The massive circular room hummed with excited conversation as, for the first time in 2 centuries, a human delegation stood at the speaker's podium. Admiral Marcus wore his formal uniform, the battle damage to his ship's hull now displayed proudly on the Thunder service record behind him. Beside him stood Bluesong, his crystal form glowing with steady confidence. Members of the council, Bluesong began. 3 months ago, my colony faced extinction at the hands of the Dark Swarm. We had a choice: follow your rules and die, or call upon those you had labeled too dangerous to contact. We chose to live. The chamber grew quiet. On the main display, footage from the battle played silently. Human ships charging forward despite devastating damage. Marines in powered armor protecting colonists. Medical teams treating the injured of all species. The humans didn't just save us, Bluesong continued. They showed us what true strength means. Their ships were damaged but never stopped. Their crews were injured but kept fighting. Not for glory, not for power, but to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Admiral Marcus stepped forward. For 200 years, we respected your wishes. We stayed in our sector, built our colonies, and watched as raiders like the Dark Swarm preyed on peaceful species. We watched because you asked us to. But when someone finally called for help, we answered. The council leader, a tall being of pure energy, spoke up. The treaties were clear, Admiral. Your actions, while heroic, violated multiple laws. Laws. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Let me tell you about laws. On Earth, we have an ancient law of the sea. Any captain who ignores a distress signal is guilty of failing to render assistance. It's been part of our code since before we reached the stars. Because strength isn't just about having power, it's about how you use it. Bluesong activated a new display, showing the Dark Swarm, prison ships now under human guard. The Dark Swarm's leaders have confessed to attacking 57 colonies in the past decade. They chose their targets carefully, always peaceful species, always those who couldn't fight back. They assumed no one would come to help. But someone did come, Marcus added. And now we're here to propose a new arrangement. The chamber buzzed with interest. On the upper levels, representatives from a dozen mining colonies watched intently. They had all heard about how one distress call had brought humanity's finest to the rescue. We don't want to rule, Marcus explained. We don't want to conquer. But we're offering something the galaxy desperately needs: protection. Any peaceful colony that wants human protection can request it. We'll respond to any distress call, defend against any aggressor, and ensure that what happened to those 57 colonies never happens again. And why should we trust you with such power? The council leader asked. Bluesong's form glowed brighter. Because they already have the power. They've always had it. But instead of using it to conquer, they use it to protect. I've seen human children playing with our younglings, sharing Earth stories. I've seen their engineers helping us improve our defenses, asking nothing in return. They're not monsters. They're guardians. The council chambers erupted in discussion. On the public channels across the galaxy, billions watched as history was made. The footage from the battle had already spread everywhere. Humans charging into combat to protect strangers, risking their lives for aliens they'd never met. We call them Deathworlders, Bluesong concluded, but perhaps we should call them what they truly are, the protectors we always needed but were too afraid to trust. The vote that followed was not even close. The old treaties were revised, allowing human ships to respond to any distress call. Within a year, hundreds of colonies would request human protection. The raiders and pirates who had plagued the galaxy's peaceful species found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't intimidate or outfight. As Marcus and Bluesong left the council chambers, the Admiral smiled. "You know," he said, "back on Earth, there's an old saying. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." Bluesong's crystal form sparkled. "Then it's fortunate that when we called, the good men of Earth chose to do something." Above them, the Thunder waited in orbit, its battle scars now a badge of honor. The ship that had answered a desperate call and changed the galaxy forever. The Deathworlders had finally found their true purpose, not to be feared, but to be the guardians of those who needed them most.
Admiral Kruntel stood at the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory, his 4 hands clasped behind his back as he gazed at the blue marble suspended in the vast darkness of space. The sight of Earth, so small and seemingly insignificant, brought a smirk to his face. His secondary eyes blinked in rhythm with the pulsing of the ship's quantum core, while his primary set remained fixed on humanity's homeworld. Another primitive species about to learn their place in the cosmos, he muttered to himself, running a hand through his ceremonial head crest. "Computer, display the Imperial fleet status." A holographic display materialized before him, showing thousands of warships arranged in perfect formation. The mighty vessels of the Galactic Empire stretched as far as his enhanced vision could see, each one a masterpiece of engineering capable of reducing entire continents to ash. The fleet had conquered 37 civilizations in the past solar cycle alone, and Earth would be number 38. Supreme Commander Zarakesh is requesting an update, Admiral announced Lieutenant Plex, his communication officer, whose tentacles were wrapped around multiple control interfaces simultaneously. "Tell her that everything proceeds according to plan," Kruntel responded, his voice carrying the weight of 10,000 successful conquests. "The humans remain oblivious to their impending surrender. Our stealth systems are performing perfectly." He allowed himself a moment of pride as he reviewed the tactical readouts. The Eternal Glory alone carried enough firepower to level every major city on the planet below. The humans, with their quaint nuclear weapons and primitive space stations, would have no choice but to accept Imperial rule. They would become another footnote in the Empire's glorious expansion. Sir Plex interrupted his thoughts. "Our cultural analysis team has completed their preliminary report on human civilization." "Summarize it for me, Lieutenant." "Though I doubt there will be any surprises." "They are unusual, sir. The report indicates they spend an inordinate amount of time engaging in something called entertainment. They appear to simulate conflicts and disasters for amusement. Our behavioral specialists are quite puzzled." Kruntel waved 2 of his hands dismissively. Primitive species often create elaborate distractions from their meaningless existence. Once they understand the true power of the Empire, they will abandon such foolishness. He turned to face his bridge crew, all members of various species that had already accepted the Empire's superiority. Each one represented a successful conquest, a civilization that had learned the futility of resistance. Humans would soon join their ranks. "Begin the final preparations," he commanded. "I want our formation to be visible the moment we drop our stealth fields. Let them witness the full might of the Imperial fleet before we demand their surrender." The bridge hummed with activity as his orders were relayed throughout the fleet. Kruntel returned his gaze to Earth, imagining how its inhabitants would react when they realized their insignificance in the face of galactic civilization. His victory was already written in the stars. Sir Plex spoke again, this time with a hint of confusion in his voice. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet. They appear to be broadcasting entertainment signals at an increased rate. Irrelevant, Kruntel declared. They can distract themselves however they wish during their final hours of independence. Soon they will learn the true meaning of galactic order. As the fleet made its final adjustments, Admiral Kruntel allowed himself to imagine his upcoming triumph. Perhaps Supreme Commander Zara Kesh would finally grant him governance of his own sector after this conquest. He had certainly earned it after centuries of loyal service. Little did Admiral Kruntel know that his carefully planned conquest was about to collide with humanity's most powerful weapon, their inexhaustible sense of humor. But for now, he stood confident and proud, fully assured that this would be just another routine addition to the Empire's ever-expanding borders. Deactivate stealth fields, Kruntel commanded, straightening his ceremonial armor. Begin transmission of the standard Imperial surrender demand on all frequencies. The massive fleet shimmed into visibility above Earth's atmosphere, thousands of ships appearing like stars against the darkness. Kruntel activated the broadcast system, his voice carrying the weight of countless conquered civilizations. People of Earth, he began, using the Empire's most intimidating diplomatic tone. Your planet has been chosen for integration into the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. You have one planetary rotation to surrender your governing bodies and submit to Imperial rule. Should you refuse? He paused for dramatic effect, but before he could continue, Lieutenant Plex's tentacles started writhing in confusion. Admiral, we're receiving thousands of responses, but they're not what we expected. Display them, Kruntel ordered, expecting to see the usual panicked reactions from planetary leaders. Instead, the main screen filled with what humans called memes. One showed his own image, expertly edited to wear something called a party hat, with text reading shows up to conquer Earth. Doesn't even bring snacks. Another displayed the Imperial fleet with the caption "Space Door Dash" looking kinda aggressive today. What is the meaning of this? Kruntel demanded, his secondary eyes twitching in confusion. Sir, humans are broadcasting these images across their global information network. They're turning our surrender demand into something called a trending topic. The communications officer displayed more responses. Someone had already created a parody song of the surrender demand, set to a catchy tune. It was rapidly gaining what humans called views. This is unprecedented, growled Kruntel. No species has ever responded to the standard Imperial surrender demand with entertainment. He straightened himself again. Send the follow-up threat. Show them our planet-cracking capabilities. The fleet moved into attack formation, and several ships demonstrated their power by vaporizing a small uninhabited moon. Kruntel began his second speech, but was interrupted by Lieutenant Plex again. Sir, humans are now organizing what they call watch parties. They're gathering in open spaces with food and beverages to observe our display. Someone called an influencer is live streaming our formation with commentary about our ship's aesthetic design choices. Kruntel's face scales turned a deep shade of purple. They dare to critique our ship designs. The Imperial fleet architecture has struck fear into the hearts of countless species. They're not afraid, Sir Plex reported, scanning through more human broadcasts. They're rating our ships on something called space aesthetic vibes and discussing which ones would make good selfie backgrounds. A new transmission caught their attention. A human entertainment channel was providing live coverage of the invasion, complete with expert commentary and social media reactions. The hosts were debating whether the Imperial fleet's color scheme was a bit too last season. Enough, Kruntel bellowed. Launch the intimidation probes. Show them the consequences of their insolence. Thousands of probes descended toward Earth's major cities, designed to project fear-inducing holograms of planetary devastation. Within minutes, humans had somehow incorporated these projections into their entertainment. Street performers were using them as backgrounds for impromptu dance numbers. Admiral Plex said hesitantly, the humans have started a competition to create something called memes about our invasion. The current top entry is an image of our fleet with text saying, "Mom said it's our turn to play with the solar system." Kruntel slumped in his command chair, all four hands massaging his temples. In all his centuries of conquest, he had never encountered a species that responded to imminent doom with jokes. The Empire's carefully crafted intimidation protocols were useless against opponents who turned threats into entertainment. Sir Plex ventured carefully. Should we proceed with the next phase of the invasion? How can we invade a planet that's not taking us seriously? Kruntel muttered. The Empire's reputation for striking fear into the hearts of our enemies is currently being used as a template for something humans call a dance challenge. Plex finished. It's quite popular on their social media platforms. Supreme Commander Zara Kesh's hologram materialized on the bridge, her crystalline armor glinting menacingly. Admiral Kruntel, explain why I'm receiving reports of humans raiding our invasion on something called Invasion Advisor with only 3 stars. Kruntel's scales paled. Supreme Commander, we are implementing the standard intimidation protocol. Phase 3 will surely. They've given our threatening messages poor reviews for being, quote, unacceptable, monotone, and lacking background music. She cut him off. This is unprecedented. Deploy the Eternal Night Formation. The entire Imperial fleet began its carefully choreographed maneuver, thousands of ships moving in perfect synchronization to blot out Earth's sun. It was a sight that had made hardened warrior races beg for mercy. Formation complete, Kruntel announced. Now they will understand the true power of. Sir Plex interrupted. Humans are using our ships as a backdrop for an outdoor festival. They're calling it Spatiella. Attendance is in the millions. The main screen displayed crowds of humans gathering in open spaces worldwide. They lounged on blankets and chairs, sharing food and beverages while pointing at the fleet above. Vendors were selling something called glow sticks, designed to match the Imperial ship's engine signatures. They're having picnics, Kruntel's voice cracked. During an invasion. Not just picnics, sir. They're hosting viewing parties with something called commentary tracks. Several humans calling themselves astronomers are giving detailed technical analyses of our fleet's positioning. One of them just called our formation, and I quote, aesthetically pleasing but lacking in originality. A new notification flashed across the screen. Someone had created a social media filter that let humans take pictures appearing to wear Imperial armor. It had gone viral in less than an hour. Deploy the fear inductors, Kruntel ordered desperately. All frequencies, maximum power. The fleet's most advanced psychological warfare technology activated, broadcasting subsonic frequencies designed to trigger panic in lesser species. The humans' response was not what anyone expected. Sir, they're using our fear inductor frequencies as baselines for dance music, Plex reported, his tentacles trembling in disbelief. Several human musicians are already releasing remixes. One of them has reached something called the top charts. Supreme Commander Zara Kesh's hologram flickered with barely contained rage. Admiral, explain why our invasion has its own entertainment category on their streaming platforms. Before Kruntel could respond, Lieutenant Plex's console erupted with new alerts. Admiral, humans are now organizing something called a Fleet Watch competition. They're awarding prizes for the most creative ways to view our ships. The current leader is a group who rented a floating restaurant to have something called a space invasion-themed dinner. The main screen showed humans in various locations, all treating the invasion like an elaborate show. Families spread blankets in parks, young humans balanced devices called phones on selfie sticks, and something called food trucks lined up at every viewing location. They've started raiding our individual ships, Sir Plex continued. The Eternal Glory is trending because someone said its design looks like, and I quote, a space Gothic cathedral had a baby with a disco ball. Kruntel slumped further in his chair. How many military vessels are in Earth's orbit? None, sir. Their Space Force hasn't deployed, though they are using their orbital cameras to create something called a live stream documentary about our fleet's architectural influences. No military response at all. Well, Plex hesitated. They have launched several small devices toward our ships, but they appear to be camera drones? They're capturing close-up footage for something called an Imperial Fleet Instagram reel. A notification chimed, and Plex's tentacles curled in surprise. Sir, we're being invited to participate in multiple talk shows. They want to interview you about, and I'm reading this directly, your inspiration for the invasion aesthetic and whether you'd consider doing a collaboration with their entertainment industry. Supreme Commander Zara Kesh's hologram loomed over the bridge. Admiral Kruntel, in all my centuries of conquest, I have never seen such a complete failure of intimidation tactics. These humans, they're making us look. Trendy Plex supplied helpfully. According to their social media metrics, Imperial fashion is now, as they say, all the rage. Several human clothing designers have already released collections inspired by our armor. Enough Supreme Commander Zara Kesh roared. Admiral Kruntel, you will commence military operations immediately. I want this planet under Imperial control before they turn our entire invasion into an entertainment franchise. Kruntel straightened in his chair. Yes, Supreme Commander. All ships, battle formations. Launch the Seekers. Thousands of automated combat drones poured from the Imperial ships, their quantum weapons primed. They descended toward Earth's major cities in perfect attack formation, ready to demonstrate the Empire's overwhelming military superiority. Sir Plex reported, they're deploying something against our Seekers. Finally, show me their primitive defensive weapons. The main screen displayed the humans' response. Kruntel's jaw dropped. Thousands of small aerial devices rose to meet the Seekers, each one trailing a banner. Some carried messages like "Welcome to Earth," "Try our tacos." Others displayed corporate logos and something called promotional codes. Those are advertising drones, Plex explained. They're using them to sell products to our invasion force. The Seekers, programmed to engage hostile military targets, found themselves surrounded by decidedly non-military devices. Their combat algorithms struggled to process the situation. Sir, our Seekers are becoming entangled in something called sponsored content. 3 squadrons have already received promotional offers for local restaurants. Kruntel slammed all 4 hands on his command console. Launch the ground forces. Deploy the Devastator mechs. Massive war machines descended from the fleet, each one capable of leveling a city. They landed in strategic locations, ready to begin their unstoppable advance. But again, the humans had other ideas. Admiral Plex's voice quivered with disbelief. Humans are approaching our Devastator mechs with food trucks. The screen showed the massive war machines surrounded by vehicles selling various Earth cuisines. Crowds gathered around them, treating the invasion force like some sort of festival attraction.